Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us here in the WPSU studios. I'm Patrick Smith.
And I'm Carolyn Donaldson. We're glad you're with us.
Indeed we are, and thank you for joining us for the world broadcast premiere of Our Town, Lochhaven 2.
That's right. We were there a few years ago, but we knew that this town was too good to just come once. So we've come back, and we're going to bring you tons of great stories tonight about your friends and neighbors in Lochhaven.
So there's a lot of stories that'll be told tonight. A lot of opportunity, by the way, also for you to let your friends and neighbors know this show is on. They want to be sure to be tuned in. Also, as is true of our towns, we are streaming. So if you've got friends and family that are out of state, out of town, out of county, wherever they are, they can tune in and watch the show.
That's right. And then we'd love for you to pledge your support to public media right here at WPSU. So here we go. We're going to start away with another Our Town, Lochhaven. Enjoy it. We'll be back.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mayor William Bainey of the city of Lochhaven, and welcome to Our Town.
Welcome to Lochhaven, Pennsylvania. Located on the west branch of the Susquehanna River in Clinton County, Lochhaven has been a vibrant community since 1833. In its early years, this area was known as a great lumbering town, and today's residents are proud to celebrate that heritage. Join us as several residents of Lochhaven show and tell what makes their community a great hometown. Your friends and neighbors welcome you to Our Town, Lochhaven. Support for Our Town, Lochhaven comes from Health South Nittany Valley Rehabilitation Hospital, providing rehabilitation services for illness or injury. Health South for a higher level of care. NittanyValleyRehab.com. The Clinton County Economic Partnership and Visitors Bureau, facilitating economic growth through programs and networking opportunities for its members. Information at ClintonCountyInfo.com. The Lochhaven University Foundation, whose mission is to generate and manage resources for the benefit of Lochhaven University and its students. Information at lhufoundation.org. M&R Contracting Incorporated at 935 Bellefonte Avenue, providing a variety of services to the Lochhaven area since 1987. Information at mandrcontracting.com. The City of Lochhaven, a proud sponsor of Our Town, Lochhaven. Rizzo's Greenhouse and Flower Shop, 2803 Woodward Avenue, providing plants and service to the Lochhaven area since 1932. Information at 570-753-3603. Miller Brothers Auto Sales, 1 South Water Street, Mill Hall, serving the Lochhaven area for nearly 50 years. Information at MillerBrothersAuto.com. Pizza Mia at 300 High Street in Lochhaven, offering pizza, subs, burgers, salads, and more. Information on Facebook or at 570-893-1772. And viewers like you, thank you.
I'm Julie Brennan, the Chamber and Tourism Director with the Clinton County Economic Partnership in Lochhaven, Clinton County. I'm going to be talking about tourism and economic development in our area. When I talk about Lochhaven and Clinton County, I like to say to people, what do you enjoy doing? I think we have a little bit of something for everyone's interests. We've got the Woolrich Company store right outside of town. Woolrich is the oldest continuously operating woolen mill in the United States. They made blankets for Civil War soldiers. We also have a unique barn theater in Clinton County. Millbrook Playhouse, for over 55 years, has been staging professional theater in our community. Lochhaven's also a stepping out point if you enjoy the outdoors. We've got the mountains, the Susquehanna River runs right through us. The Lochhaven area JCs host a boat regatta over the Labor Day weekend. It's the second largest powerboat race in the United States. You can hear the roar all through town. We've also got hiking trails and ATV trails. Over half of Clinton County is state land, so it's open for public use and public recreation. One of the most breathtaking views in the state is in Clinton County, just outside of Lochhaven, and that's Hyner View State Park. There's an overlook there that you can see for miles. And when weather conditions are right, you're likely to see hang gliders taking flight from the top of the view. One of the activities that brings many people to our area are trail challenges. And we start the year off in January with a race called the Frozen Snot. It's a huge challenge that takes participants up and down and around Bald Eagle Mountain. And we also use the mountain for a couple of other races, but that's a biggie to start the year. Another one that's really gained some good ground is called the Boulder Beast. It's a 27-mile grueling race that people just love to hate. It was started close to 15 years ago now by a fellow by the name of Jeff Stover, and I was fortunate enough to interview him.
In 2000, I turned 50, and I was really bummed out about it, so I wanted to lose some weight, so I entered a trail race in Virginia, trained for it, lost some weight, finished the race, came back home, started training again, and realized that our mountains really were as good as any other area for extreme mountain sports and for trail racing.
The city of Lochhaven is also the economic base of Clinton County, or the economic hub of Clinton County. Faber Fab and Faber Burner is a company that manufactures burners for industrial boilers. The local part of the company is Faber Fab, and they fabricate all kinds of metal for all kinds of uses. Mike Flanagan is president and CEO of the Clinton County Economic Partnership, and he really oversees and helps foster economic development in the community.
First Quality Tissue began in 2004 with their first building, and about 6 years later added a second building. They make paper products there, and they have over 400 people employed at the site. They've been a great partner here in Clinton County.
I went to college here in Lochhaven a long time ago and stayed because I love the beauty of the area. I love the people. I'm a kayaker. I enjoy paddling our waterways locally. The Susquehanna River is beautiful, and it's just a great way of life.
Hi, my name is Kim Garlick, and I'm the Executive Coordinator for Sentimental Journey, and we're going to be talking about the fly-in. Sentimental Journey to Cub Haven started in 1986. It is an annual get-together of not only pilots, but aviation enthusiasts and the local people who want to come down and enjoy the festivities. It's held at Piper Aircraft Corporation. Piper left in 1984. They moved to Florida, and in 1985, some people got together and wanted to do a little reunion of Piper plane owners. It began as a way to honor the Piper legacy, to keep it alive. Every year, we probably get an average of 75 Cubs, I would say. We might see 1,500 to 2,000 come through the gate. We get all kinds of airplanes in. We don't limit ourselves to Piper planes. There are some really nice, fancy, old vintage planes. You wouldn't believe how many old, really unique airplanes are out there until you come down and go through the rows and see for yourself. In the past, we've had the Berlin Airlift come and show their airplane. It's a static display museum that teaches people what all was involved back in the Berlin Airlift. They love coming to Lochhaven, and they've shown an interest in coming again this year, so we're trying to see if we can make that happen as well. We have a flower bomb drop contest. We drop bombs from airplanes. We have a spot landing competition for children. Every day we have a children's hour where they do crafts. One day they can make a paper airplane and they can throw it off the tower, and the one that flies the furthest wins a little bit of money. We have a lot of pilots that come in and bring their tents, and they can camp on the field under their wings. But if the general public wants to come, we have a nice big primitive campground there. So a lot of people drive in and camp all week. They make it their yearly vacation. I got involved about 30 years ago. I was a volunteer on the flight line parking airplanes. My father ran the paint shop for almost 30 years at Piper, and my father-in-law was William T. Piper Jr. So I was kind of born on the field, and I kind of live for the week of the fly-in. It also keeps me off my recliner.
My name's Joby Topper. I'm the library director at Lochhaven University, and I'm here to talk about Lochhaven University's history. My great-grandmother, Laura Hassinger, she was a student at the old Lochhaven Normal School back in between 1889 and 91. She went there to become a teacher, a public school teacher. So really all my life I've heard about the Lochhaven Normal School, the Lochhaven Teachers College, even though today, of course, it's called Lochhaven University. Lochhaven University started as a state normal school in 1870. The idea at that point was to standardize public education in the Commonwealth. And in fact, that's where normal schools really get their name. Normal schools were meant to normalize public education. The early normal schools were all two-year programs, essentially vocational programs. The graduates would be public school teachers K through 8. Well, eventually that program developed. Another year was added, and another year it was added to the curriculum until they had almost a 4-year curriculum. Somewhere in the teens, 1920s, that's when the state decided this might be time to transition into state teachers' colleges. In other words, 4-year colleges that would confer a bachelor's degree in education. The next step then was when the colleges decided to become more than just education schools, when they added degrees that were out beyond education degrees in the liberal arts and sciences. And this was in 1960. Now they're state colleges. By the late 70s, we had added more programs, and we'd even added a graduate program. Others were being discussed. Then we became a university. In 1983, I believe we had somewhere around 2,000 students, and now we're up just under 4,000. I do think the university does help the town of Lochhaven. Most of our staff and a lot of our managers, some of our faculty, they live right in the area. So without those people, there's no way we could even function. They are the university, and to an extent, I would hope we're an extension of the town. They're such friendly people. And even the campus, it's a friendly campus. It's a friendly atmosphere, and I really like the vibe.
I'm Katie De Silva. I'm the Clinton County Planning Director, and I am here to talk about the courthouse, Lochhaven as the county seat, and the history of the river and its current state. Well, the courthouse is sort of the iconic scene that you see when you come into Lochhaven from any direction. It stands taller than all the other buildings, and it's a handsome building. And there are a couple of good stories associated with the clock tower. And so I filmed Commissioner Paul Conklin telling a few of those stories.
Back in the 20s sometime, one of the weights that controlled the mechanism of the clock in the clock tower broke loose and fell 3 stories to the basement. But while passing through, it went right through the desk of the superintendent of schools, Ira McCloskey. And he happened to just leave for lunch early that day, or it would have been an unfortunate situation there.
On the main hall of the courthouse, they have a bunch of display cases lining the walls, and they're filled with wonderful artifacts from Indian times, prehistoric times here. They're great displays. They're really excellent collection. The river was everything in the 19th century to this town. Logs came down to the sawmills, either floating loose or as rafts that were piloted by people. Lumber was the industry of town in the 19th century. And it faded. The last raft was piloted by Harry Connor, who was an experienced rafter. It was a historical reenactment in 1938 of the rafting journeys that 19th century rafters made. They started in Clearfield County and floated all the way to Harrisburg. People came from all over the place to watch this raft come through. And there are scenes of people flocking the banks of down in Lochhaven, and the raft passing over our dam. And to me, what's interesting about that compared to today is 20th century people sort of lost their idea of using a river to get somewhere. We've been partnering to recreate those journeys by putting in boat launches, picnic areas, campsites that you can kayak to or canoe to down the west branch of the Susquehanna. And Lochhaven, of course, is the preferred destination because the city's developing all kinds of amenities, riverside amenities. If you go out of town for 1 mile in any direction, you come into beauty. Anywhere you go around here, it's gorgeous. And to me, that's one of the chief reasons to come here.
Hi, my name is Deacon Chip Young, and I'm here to talk about the consolidation of the Holy Spirit, the Catholic Church in Lochhaven. Immaculate Conception Church is the church on Water Street, and it was started in 1891. It was German and Irish settlers who came here to work on the canal in Lochhaven, and then they just stayed and developed their own parish. On the other side of town, we have some German, French, and basically Italian immigrants who came in to do the same thing, but wanted a church in their own area. And that church was St. Agnes. Each one supported their own church for over 100 years. They went through a couple of devastating floods. Both churches went through the floods and rebuilt. Today, due to the decrease in the number of priests in the area, in our diocese, many churches had to combine. And so Bishop Barczak decided that he was going to combine Immaculate Conception with St. Agnes in Lochhaven, and that formed the Holy Spirit Parish. And that was in 2012. But we still use both churches, and as long as we can keep them monetarily, we're going to do that. We all had our own organizations, and yet we brought them all together, and the congregations have started to gel really well. We don't have a lot of problems getting people to get involved. We've seen a lot of different talents from different people and their eagerness to share what they do. On Water Street is the school, and it houses kindergarten through 8th grade. In a lot of places where the schools are decreasing, our population in our school is increasing. We have very nice organizations, Knights of Columbus and Catholic Daughters of America. Those groups all work together. And now we're one parish, one spirit, and they're all just working. We're so pleased that everybody's working the way they are. The community is, I think, kind of a rare community because they work so well together. We took the best from both churches and put them together, and we have a really, I think, neat parish.
I'm Casey Blesh, and I'm here to talk about Haven Holidays. The first weekend in December is when in Lochhaven we celebrate Christmas and the holiday season, and we kick off the holiday season with Haven Holidays. We start that weekend off on Friday night with a tree lighting ceremony. This past year we had Millbrook Youth Ensemble perform at the tree lighting ceremony, and it is a way to light the way for Santa to be coming into town that weekend. Then on Saturday, down in Triangle Park is where we have train rides with Terry Banfield. So he brings in his train, we close off the street, and kids can ride for however long we're there. Throughout the whole community, there's a lot of activities for families. We end the weekend with the Christmas parade down Main Street. We flood the streets of Main Street. It's cold, but everyone comes together as a community and just gets everyone into the holiday spirit. I'm the manager of Downtown Lochhaven, Inc. We promote all the small businesses down Main Street and throughout downtown Lochhaven. So we really focus on bringing the community together and support our local economy and really grow Lochhaven. Lochhaven is really near and dear to my heart. I did not grow up here, but I came here and never left. I walk down Main Street every single day, and I always see a familiar face and stop and say hello. It's just really great to have that sense of family and sense of community everywhere you go.
Hello, everybody. My name's Terry Banfield. I'm here to talk about our Haven Holidays. About 10 years ago, I started helping out with Haven Holidays, and I had borrowed this barrel train from a friend of mine, which I pulled with a four-wheeler. After the first year, I'm thinking, you know, Thomas the Train's real popular, so I built a Thomas the Train. I used an old 25-gallon drum for the boiler. I used the tin cans like to make the smokestacks and stuff. And I had this old lawnmower that I put everything together. I built 4 cars. I painted them all up. And the kids just went crazy after. Haven Holidays runs from 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock. I ran it for 4 hours straight without getting off, because a lot of the kids were coming back for 2 or 3 rides. That's what I do for downtown, and I love doing it. And that's why I'm dressed like this. And I also brought my whistle. And I would always tell them, all aboard, and we go. The kids are perfect. So that's what I do for downtown Lochhaven. Well, I was born and raised here, went to school here. This is just a fun place to raise children. To my mind, Lochhaven's special because of its people making it special.
After the break, we'll get back in the swing of things as we visit a local jazz festival. Then we'll tell you why Lochhaven is known as Matttown, USA, and visit the best place in town for hot dogs. But first, please show your support for Lochhaven and WPSU by making a pledge. Thanks.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Our Town Lochhaven. I'm Carolyn Donaldson, a part of the family here at WPSU. Oh, the phones are already starting to ring. That's great. We are here celebrating all things Lochhaven. Don't you love the train man, Terry Banfield, and Haven Holidays, and all the things you just saw? Well, those comprise the stories that we love to bring you. And this is part of our continuing Our Town celebration. And tonight we're here celebrating all the stories that you helped put together, our residents and friends of our town. We know that there's folks in Lochhaven that are viewing us right now across the world. You can see us streamed at WPSU.org. But right now, what we'd love to do is hear from you. Our wonderful bank of volunteers are here, all from the Lochhaven community. Yeah, give yourselves a round of applause. Some of them contributed stories, but all of them have great things to share about Lochhaven. It's one of those great communities here in central Pennsylvania. And it's one of the reasons that we continue this program. Our town, now it is a 96th program here. We're just so excited to bring you more and more stories about what matters to you. And public television is the way to do that. And so at certain times of the year, we come to you and we ask for you to watch us and then support us with your pledge and your call tonight. And for that, and without further ado, let me introduce the man who created or put those stories that you created together. And Bill Wallace is here to explain exactly what you can get tonight as a thank you gift. Bill?
Thank you, Carolyn. First off, I'd like to thank the folks who are behind me to answer the phones. They came down from Lochhaven tonight to take your pledges of support. And I want to thank the dozens and dozens of people who are responsible for putting this show together. I'm sort of the guy who puts all the glue in it and makes it into something that we can watch on television, but it's their hard work that gets all those pieces together so that I can put a show together for us all to watch. And if you would like to be able to have a copy of this program at the end of the evening so that you have one for yourselves and maybe one for a family member or friends, The number to call is 1-800-245-9779, or go on to your computer, Google machine, phone, mobile device, whatever you'd like to call it, at WPSU.org, and they will walk you through the steps one by one so that you can make a web pledge. But we'd really like to have the phones ring tonight. You can get one copy of this show for a $75 pledge of support. You can get 2 copies of this show for a $120 pledge of support for this show. And we would really like to hear the phones ring, a little more than just the one. 2? Very good. 2 calls. We've broken the ice, and it's time for folks to start calling in and letting us know that they appreciate the kind of programming that we are doing here tonight and that they'd like to see this sort of thing continue. So I am going to send it over to Scott Giese, who is going to tell you a little bit more.
All right, friends, how are you? I'm Scott Giese, community volunteer and WPSU member. And yes, we're looking for some phone ringing. We want that ringing in our ears, all right? No, not that kind, the other kind. 1-800-245-9779. Now, I heard a rumor. The rumor is that there are some watch parties. It's maybe in Lochhaven somewhere, maybe in the surrounding area somewhere. Come on now, I know you're all pocketing one of these. All right, so let's see if we can get the phones to ring at 1-800-245-9779, or you can go online to WPSU.org. Yes, we did mention we are doing live streaming of the program tonight. Don't normally do that, but we do it for the Our Town series. So if you have some folks from away, like far away, some other part of the country, some other part of the planet, they can tune in tonight and watch this program live via the live stream. That would be really cool. This show's got a little extra special something for me because this is Our Town Lochhaven 2. There was an Our Town Lochhaven 1 way back in 1998. And I happened to be doing a little work in the Lochhaven area at that point, and I shot some video for that show 20 years ago. It's been taking 20 years to get them to do version number 2. I looked a lot younger back then. I looked a little more hair and stuff, whatever. Anyway, we're looking for your support tonight to keep this going. 1-800-245-9779 is the number, and let's go to Carolyn.
Thank you, Scott. Yes, we're already hearing from friends in Lochhaven and beyond, and we thank you so much. And those watch parties are underway, and we understand at Stella A's and also at the Broken Axe, 2 great community restaurants in Lochhaven. I got to eat at one of them, and it's delicious. So thank you for those early calls and pledges of support. Tim and Nicole Hewitt from Lochhaven have called in. Tim and Nicole calling in their pledge of support tonight from Lochhaven, and an anonymous call that came in online earlier, even before the show tonight from Lochhaven. We thank you so much for your pledge of support. Now, we talk about the different ways to give, and those are thank you gifts, but the real reason that hopefully that you want to pick up the phone and pledge your support and help us in some way, and again, we offer those thank you gifts at those levels of $75 for 1 DVD or $120 for 2 DVDs. But I do want to mention also at the $60 level, you qualify for our newest member benefit called Passport. So a Passport with a pledge of $60 or more throughout the year, you can watch what you want when you want it and connect through all the different devices that you have available to you and watch our great PBS programming as well as our great WPSU programming. So we do not put the Lochhaven Our Town on PBS right away on Passport because we'd love to be able to spur that support with those DVD thank you gifts first. And we want folks who pledge their support and watch us tonight to be able to get that copy and be able to watch it over and over again. There's some great stories ahead. And right now, we're just taking this short break between the times of our show tonight, but now is the time to pick up the call and make that pledge of support. There you see Councilman Doug there manning our phones. Give him a call, 1-800-245-9779, or go online at WPSU.org. These community volunteers, I know some are at work in the city as our city planner. We've got some great volunteers here who have contributed stories, and we'd love to hear why you're calling and where you're calling from too. So we'll be able to read some personal little asides. Right, Bill, as we get your call tonight.
We have 2, count them 2 phones open right now. Things are doing very nicely behind me. It's important that we keep these folks very, very busy tonight. And right now, this is sort of the first seating. This is the first wave of calls that we're getting this evening. So I don't have anybody to thank except perhaps the folks who helped put the show together. This is a big program. We had 28 people come in to do stories on the city, on the environs, things that were special to them. And I got to tell you, there are some really, really cool stories in here. There's some great pictures. You've already seen a couple of really, really cool stories with some things that are very uniquely Lochhaven, and there's more of that coming. We'll tell you about a couple things in a couple of minutes as we get closer to going back to the program. But I'm very, very heartened to see the activity that's going on behind me right now. It proves that there are folks out there who appreciate what we are putting together to put on the air in the way of community support, in the way of local programming, giving people the opportunity to tell their own stories the way they would like to tell them. And you're not going to find that anywhere but here on public television, and in particular, our town on WPSU. So call in now, 1-800-245-9779 is the number, or go to your computer or your mobile device at WPSU.org and make a pledge of $75. We'll be happy to send you a copy of this program without the pledge breaks, so it goes a little faster. For $120, we'll be happy to send you 2 copies. And what we always do with this is we encourage folks to get 2 if they can handle the cost, because it's always nice to have one to hand out to the kids or to the relatives who are living out of town, or even a couple of copies at the public library so that they're available for folks to check out and take home and watch it if they didn't get a chance to see the program live on the air. So we'd really like to hear from you. If by chance you get a busy signal because all the phones are busy, go to WPSU.org and take care of things online. It's a little less personal. These folks really do want to hear from you at 1-800-245-9779, but we will be happy to take a pledge from you no matter how you want to submit it. Scott, you got some people to thank.
Absolutely. Phones are ringing now. The old line, we're cooking with gas now, all right? So keep them coming at 1-800-245-9779. Our town is such a very unique, special series as we look at the history of places throughout central and northern Pennsylvania, the culture of those places, the very unique stories that only happen in this town or this one. And we're going to be going back to the stories again here in just a little bit. I saw a quick little promo involving wrestling, and I'm thinking Lochhaven and wrestling. Those two kind of go together, all right? So get ready for that. Yes, we have a lot of thank yous. The phones have been going really well so far. We want to keep it going. We have an anonymous pledge from Lochhaven. Thank you very much. Also, thank you to Dan Wolf of Lochhaven, who also wants to give credit to his dog, Angel. Angel, how are you, Angel? There you go. Good dog, good dog. I don't know if the dog called. I'm assuming it was probably Dan. All right. Let's see if we can get you to call right now at 1-800-245-9779. If you value programs like the Our Town series, and if I counted right, this is show number 96 in the series, headed to 100. It's your dollars that make shows like this possible here on your public television station. So please, even if you're not from Lochhaven, no matter where you're watching tonight, maybe you're on the other side of the planet, you can go online to WPSU.org or call the number 1-800-245-9779. We'd like your contribution of support. Here's Carolyn.
Scott, you make a good point. You can be from anywhere and appreciate good stories, and that's those kind of stories that we try to bring you, and hopefully you pledge your support and keep them coming, because that's how it works here in public television. We're not able to continue this type of programming without those contributions and those membership dollars that come in to actually pay for the programming. That's how we exist. It's a kind of a crazy business system, but that's exactly how we work in public media. And here at WPSU, we're so excited and proud to continue this wonderful legacy, really, of the Our Town series. We created a new logo, in case you didn't notice. If you've been a long Our Town supporter, we've jazzed things up, but we continue to bring you the quality, great stories from the people themselves. You're the ones, including my friend Joby Topper that you saw in that last segment, calling all the way from Belfont. Well, Joby, of course, has one of our supporters, so thank you so much, Joby, for your pledge of support and for your contribution of a story. And one of our phone bank volunteers in the back here, before she got not too busy answering the phone, let's give a shout out. There she is, Robin Rocky. Thank you, Robin, for your pledge of support. She wants a copy of the DVD, and you can get one too by pledging your support, and that's our thank you gift. It's really you're giving because of what you're seeing tonight. But as a thank you, we'd love to be able to send to you a copy of tonight's program unedited, or excuse me, without the breaks, without all of our chatter. For a $75 contribution, you can get one DVD, or if you, as Bill likely says, you want to send one off to the family and the relatives and keep one for posterity, the $120 pledge. And that year-round giving, that pledge of support helps us year-round produce the next Our Town and the next one and the next one, in addition to some of the other great programming that we bring you. Right now, though, we don't want to waste too much more time, but we love the phones to keep calling, 1-800-245-9779. I'm going to throw it back to the master producer here, Bill Wallace. Bill?
I'm just the facilitator, actually, but thank you for the compliment. I got a couple people I want to thank. We're going to go back to the program in just a second. Lizette Schillig from Lochhaven, we definitely want to thank you for your pledge of support. Suzanne Faust from Lochhaven, Mike and Sue Faust, sending in a pledge of support for this evening. And Lee and Becky Gilbert from Jersey Shore, sending us a contribution for this evening's programming. And this is the only way that we can keep doing what we're doing. The sort of thing that we are working on requires you folks to support us and encourage us to do more. So keep the phones ringing. There will be some people here during the program when we go back. And one of the first pieces we're going to see is on the Lochhaven Jazz Fest. They call it Jazz and Art on Main Street. And it's not the sort of thing you'd expect to hear on the streets of Lochhaven in the summertime, but man, this thing sounds cool, and I got to go check it out myself this summer. So give us a call, 1-800-245-9779. We'll have some people on the phone when we go back to the programming. If you want to call then, go to WPSU.org to make a web pledge if you'd like to do that. And we would really, really like to hear from you. We'll be back in a few minutes with a few more requests for some pledges. Thank you for giving us a hand.
You can also make your contribution at WPSU.org. Click on Donate at the top of the page. It's always available and easy to use. Thanks.
My name is Steve Getz, and my story is about the Lochhaven Jazz and Art on Main Street, or LH Jams. We, at the Arts Council, wanted to come up with an event that we incorporated both the visual arts with the performing arts. We have this wonderful collaboration or partnership with LHU, and they had an inspiring jazz program under the leadership of Dr. Eddie Severin. So we started to plan it, and a lot of the community got behind us. It all came together, and we had this wonderful festival the first year. Each year we add a different layer to it, more performances. The first year, for example, on Main Street, we only had 4 performances. Last year we added 4 more. We've also collaborated with the City Concert Series to include a river stage or Corman Amphitheater performance. We have art and fine craft vendors that we fill the street. Main Street shut down. We have this wonderful group of plein air artists that come and paint. Then we'll have wonderful, wonderful food. Taverns, restaurants can set up on the street. So we have this great food, and most of them will take on a jazz theme. So they'll have gumbos and crab cakes and all kinds of things. So it's a great time. If you include everything on Saturday, there's 14 different performances. There'll be 8 on Main Street. There'll be 1 on the Corman Amphitheater, and again, the 5 venue performances later on in the evening. I had a chance to interview Donna Wilson, provost at Lochhaven University, and she speaks a little bit about how the festival connects with Lochhaven University, the Arts Council, and the community.
Jams is a wonderful opportunity for the university. because we have a chance to pool our resources in our jazz program and our facilities with the resources of downtown Lochhaven and the Clinton County Arts Council to produce something much greater than what any of us could do alone.
There's not a lot of jazz in central Pennsylvania. Right here in Lochhaven, people really don't have a chance to see and hear that type of music. Part of what we do at the Arts Council is to have these community enrichment programs. So to be able to bring world-class jazz musicians to Lochhaven for 2 days, it's just this fun atmosphere, and it's a great way to showcase Lochhaven, the town that we're very proud of.
Hi, I'm Tom Elling, and my subject is the tradition of wrestling in Lochhaven. It began at the university here with a guy from Du Bois who had graduated. His name was Hank Blake. There was no wrestling program here, so as a student athlete, he got wrestling started. Lochhaven High School was about at the same time, about 1938. Bud Stamen became heavily involved in. There were several coaches early on, didn't last too long. Looking at the highlights, one would be Mike Johnson, who was a 4-time state champion. He was 84-0 and never taken down. At the university, Gray Simons would be the first name that would come to mind. Gray was a 3-time national collegiate champion. He came back later on and coached here at Lochhaven State College, as it was known at that time. And in fact, he was my wrestling coach, of which I'm very proud of that. But Gray Simons is synonymous with the town of Lochhaven. You go anywhere, you bump into people, and they'll say, "Where are you from?" Say Lochhaven. They'll say Piper Aircraft, Gray Simons, Mike Johnson. You know, those are the 3 things that come to mind. I came to Lochhaven as an English major, and I made the wrestling team. I wasn't going to go out for wrestling initially, but I won the intramurals and beat a couple of state champs along the way, so the instructor said, if you wanted an A in this course, you better come out for wrestling. So I wanted an A, I went out for wrestling, and miraculously I made the team. I also coached at Lochhaven High School for a period of 8 years, 4 in the junior high level and then 4 at the varsity level. We had the only undefeated team in the history of the high school, so I was very proud of that. I believe it was in the early 70s that Lochhaven became known as Madtown, USA, because of the great programs at the high school and at the university. You'd have to stand in line, and people literally would have to die for you to get a ticket, a reserved seat ticket to Lochhaven Wrestling back then. Lochhaven to me is actually more of a home now than my original home, because I've been here ever since college, and it's a friendly community. The people reach out to you and make you feel at home. I was an English teacher and a guidance counselor. I have so many students that, I just look back, and those are really great days.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Bell, and I'm going to tell you about the Lochhaven University's Physician Assistant Program. The Physician Assistant Program at Lochhaven is a 2-year master degree program where our mission is to train primary care providers to go into underserved and the rural areas in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We started out with 1 campus just within the community of Lochhaven. Years later, we started a 2nd campus at the Clearfield branch campus of Lochhaven University, and currently we have students at 4 different campuses across the state. So we have students at the Dixon University Center in Harrisburg, we have students at Cole Memorial Hospital in Coudersport, and then also Lochhaven and Clearfield. All of these campuses are connected through technology, so at any time when a faculty member is giving a lecture from any of those sites across the state, the classroom is connected by some great technology. We can interact, we can see each other, and we really get to know each other across the screen. I am an alumni of the Lochhaven PA program, and after working in the field of pediatrics for several years, I decided to come back and join the team as a faculty member. When I was deciding to go to PA school, I was a non-traditional student in that I had a child and I was married. I selected Lochhaven University because when I went to my interview, I felt so at home. I think students come to Lochhaven, because it's home, because they can get a great education at home. And then they choose to stay because they really see the value and the need of serving their neighbors and their community. It's not easy to recruit physicians, physician assistants, other providers into rural communities. But when we can take our own bright students and we can educate them and we can keep them here to really serve the community, I think it's a great service.
Hi, I'm Phillip Anastos. I'm here to talk about the Texas restaurant in downtown Lochhaven, and this is our 100th year in business. It's in my family since 1961, and I took it over in 1991. I'm the fourth owner out of the 100 years. And we're basically downtown Lochhaven diner that everybody's grown up on the food, and we're very well known since we've been here all those years. Serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We're known for our hot dog. In the 60s, it became known as the Growler. We open at 6 a.m., and usually there's a crowd outside already. It's, I guess, a coffee club, retirees. Some guys going to work, and some guys are just up early in the morning to come in for a sandwich or a breakfast or coffee just to shoot the breeze, what's going on downtown Lochhaven and whatever else news is in the world. They solve all the problems of the world. We have a good dinner crowd, and up until 2002, the Texas was 24 hours a day. Sometimes I serve people 3 times a day. And that's when I know I've been there too long. I cook. Majority of my duty is cooking, but I do a little bit of everything throughout the day. Whatever needs done, I do it. My mother's still with us, and she comes down every day and does stuff for me. I really don't know why I took ownership. I just ended up with it out of 3 brothers. Dealing with people day in, day out. I grew up on that. I've done it all my life. I like dealing with the people. I enjoy that. You know everybody. You're on a first name basis. It's a close community.
Hi, I'm Seth Omer. I am a crop and vegetable farmer in Lochhaven, Pennsylvania. I raise corn, soybeans, and wheat, and I also raise processing tomatoes and processing green beans, along with sunflowers. We're located on the Island Road, right outside of Lochhaven, down from the Piper Airport. We're a little over 1,200 acres. We farm a 25-mile radius of the farm. We are in an area where we have some very rich Susquehanna Valley river soil. We try to keep the vegetables down along the river so we can irrigate them, and then we use the corn and soybeans and wheat in a rotation in the higher ground that isn't irrigatable. I grew up on a dairy farm. My parents are from Cogan Station, Pennsylvania. This farm came up for sale in 2001, and I bought it. I started with 330 acres, bought 100 acres, and I rented the rest, picked up more ground, and worked with businesses, and it's just been a very good area for me. We started growing sunflowers a couple years ago when Joe Shawley from Child's Run Mill, right outside of Woolwich, approached me about growing a local product and keeping it local. He uses it for a variety of birdseed mixes that he does. We started out just as a trial, and we had a huge response. People coming, visiting the field, doing photo shoots of the field, so it turned out to be a very good PR type of deal that I didn't even think would happen. Lochhaven has been very good to me. I moved to Lochhaven not knowing anything about the area. I moved strictly because that's where the farm was for sale. Through the years, I've met so many nice people in the area, and you look around and you have tabletop flat ground along the river, but you have mountains right behind you, and it's just a really nice area to grow up and raise a family in. And I met my wife in Lochhaven, so I guess I'll stay.
I'm Carol Sillo, and I'm here to talk to you about our wonderful gem of North Central PA, the Station Gallery. This building was an old train station in Mill Hall, PA, which is up the road like 5 miles. An owner was trying to get rid of this building, but he didn't want to demolish the building because it was a historic rail station. They ended up taking down the building and drove it 5 miles into Lochhaven. Nobody really knew what to do with it. Finally, the city offered it to a lot of people, and they came to the Arts Council. We walked in there and we looked around and we said, oh my gosh, this could be a great urban contemporary gallery. The Arts Council did all the interior. The exterior was renovated by the city. So the outside of the building is a historic train station, but you walk inside and all the artists and all the people who come there say, oh my gosh, this is this perfect urban contemporary gallery. So it's the perfect blend of two things. We want to connect art with people. We have a photo show that's juried. We have a 2D, 3D exhibit that's juried. We have themed things like recycled, repurposed. We've had a graphics show that was juried. So people from the entire region can actually join in with people from the city. And now we have this connectivity with other communities, which is great. We also have a lot of scholastic shows. We try to have an opportunity for each grade level. Elementary school, middle school, and high school of the Keystone Central School District all have the opportunity to show. We provide an opportunity where they can be in a professional space, where they can say that, oh, my art is important, my family can come, they have a real reception, they're in a professional gallery, everything is well lit. So they get that experience and they get that confidence of being there. We also connect with Lochhaven University, and that's really important to us. So we have university students, Fine Arts Society comes in once a year, shows their work, and part of the permanent collection from the university. We've been fortunate in the fact that the community has embraced us. We have a pig roast, and we have the Historical Society come and join us, so again, connecting, with other organizations. It's become a place to connect, and it's really great. The great thing about Lochhaven is we can have an amazing cultural center, we can have an outstanding university, but we can also have this beautiful rural setting. It's just an amazing conglomeration of things. There's good food, there's good people, and it has that wonderful small town personality that makes everything affordable, affable, likable, and a place you want to live. And art makes everything better in Lochhaven.
I'm Lou Bernard. I'm sort of the county historian in the area. I work for the Ross Library and the Piper Aviation Museum, and I'm here to talk about the founding of Lochhaven and Piper. Lochhaven is part of Clinton County. It was founded in 1833. Our town founder was not your typical sort of guy. Jeremiah Church was from New York. He was thrown out of school at the age of 13 for trying to kiss the teacher. Traveled around for years before he came here to Lochhaven. Fell in love with the area and finally got enough money to be able to buy up property and sell it off. The most expensive plot of land at that time went to James Jeffries, a retired pirate from Chester County. Jerry Church, with some help from his brother Willard, established the town, established businesses, and built a tree house in what was at the time the town square. Jerry used to sit up there and play the violin for his neighbors. He commented in his journal later that they all made fun of him, but they all came up to join him every now and again. People talk about lumber as the big industry in Lochhaven, and that's true, but it's also kind of secondhand. Really, it was shipping. On the canals, on rafts, on barges, things got shipped, and it wasn't just the lumber. Coal, iron, transportation was kind of a big thing. And there's not really a single mode of transportation that Lochhaven wasn't involved with at some point. William Piper brought Piper Aviation as a company here in 1937. Originally, it was over in Bradford, PA, but that burned down. The first Piper Cub, the flagship plane, rolled off the line on July 8th, 1937. The Cub was originally designed to be silver, It was silver with a little red stripe, but William Piper thought that blended in too much with the sky. He wanted it to really pop, so he did some testing, and that exact shade of yellow stood out best against the blue sky. Then it was off and running. The Piper Cub, the Grasshopper, the Aztec, the Comanche, lots of different planes. The Piper Museum is dedicated to those days, to all of the different planes that were made by Piper during their time in Lochhaven. It ran from 1937 to 1984, when parent company Lear Sigler pulled Piper out and moved them down to Vero Beach. We have 13 different planes in the museum. There's a Tomahawk, which is now a fully functioning flight simulator. We have a Cub, Grasshopper, Tri-Pacer. My personal favorite is the Aztec. There is a Cheyenne that it'll never fly again. We've got it reconditioned so children can sit down and play in it. We have on display a lot of artifacts, a lot of information from the old days. Piper as a company is no longer here, but because of the museum, they're still bringing people in. It's still important to our economy. And it's important to remember where we came from in that regard. In my opinion, Lochhaven is something special. All summer, I give walking tours, I point at the buildings, I talk about the history, and there's so much. There are local connections to the Titanic and Amelia Earhart, the Planet of the Apes movies. One of the actors from the Beverly Hillbillies lived here as a child. Every building, every corner has something special to it. And what I want to do is let people know that. I want people to know what a wonderful, fascinating place this is.
Stick around for a visit to the local library and the train station art gallery. Then we'll show all the effects that the West Branch of the Susquehanna has had on the region. But first, please show your support for Lochhaven and WPSU by making a pledge. Thanks.
Good evening. Welcome back to the WPSU studios. Thank you for joining us tonight for Our Town Lochhaven. We've had a lot of great stories so far, a lot of interesting local history. Obviously, a lot of it very personal, much of it very community-oriented, very social. I love the pieces on the history regarding Piper and the planes. The museum is fabulous. If you've not been there, please take a few hours out of an afternoon, go to Lochhaven, go to the Piper Museum. Some great aircraft there. You're going to love it. Hey, we are here tonight because our town is one of the things that as a public station we love to do. We love to work with our communities. You have great stories to tell. We want to help you tell them. And so tonight we celebrate Lochhaven, and tonight we ask that you join in that celebration by helping to support your public broadcasting station, WPSU. Nobody else does this. There's not a commercial station anywhere in the central portion of Pennsylvania that comes to a town and says, tell us all about you, because we want to let other people know all about you. And so tonight we ask for your support of this project. We ask that you call and participate by making a donation. Now, of course, we do that knowing that we should give you a little something in return. And in this case, what we're offering is copies of the show you're watching. So make a gift tonight of $75, and we will thank you with one copy of Our Town Lochhaven. Our Town Lochhaven 2, actually. If you can make a gift of $120, we can thank you with 2 copies of Our Town Lochhaven. So you keep one for yourself, and then you mail one to Aunt Matilda, who moved out of town, or you mail one to your nephew or your niece or whomever. But it's a great opportunity. If you do have, and we had a request earlier this evening, I think from somebody who maybe is planning on doing some Christmas gift giving, but they called and said, I need more than 2, and they actually asked for a lot. So we'll have a quick conversation, we'll work that out, and we'll make sure that you get all of the copies that you need at the best price we can possibly give you. But what's important is that you make that call, do your part. Your call tonight says, I love Lochhaven, I love my public television station, there are great people in this town, there are great stories to be told, I want to do my part. And the number to call, 1-800-245-9779. We have 6 volunteers here tonight. Actually, I think we have 8 of the phones personed right now. We'll get to your call as quickly as we can, but take action, make that call, do your part right now. 1-800-245-9779. Joined in the studio tonight by my colleague, Carolyn Donaldson.
Thanks so much, Pat. And one of the best reasons for calling right now is you get to be answering the phone and talking to one of our great volunteers who you likely will know if you're from Lochhaven. I'm finding this community is so close-knit, and they know each other's stories, and they help with each other's stories, and then they came in tonight to answer the phones and hear from you. And we thank you so much for those of you who have already called in your pledges of support and are now sitting back and relaxing and enjoying. We know that there's 2 watch parties underway, and we're still trying to effort to get those pictures of those watch parties up so you can see yourself. But if you have your phone handy and you haven't already called in from that watch party, do that. Let us know that you're calling in, and we'll make sure to give that shout out right there. We've had one gentleman who actually is one of our members of our great development staff here at WPSU, Mike Taranto, and Michael made his pledge of support tonight while he was on the phones earlier. But get this, he made it in honor and in honor of his wife, who is the principal at Robb Elementary, known as Mrs. T by her students. So thank you, Mike, so much for your pledge of support, as you pledged so much. And Mrs. T, we thank you for educating those great minds in Lochhaven. Thank you so much. We've had an online pledge from Lochhaven, and Carmen Banfield actually went online to make that pledge. My guess is they're connected. That Banfield might be connected to our train man that was featured a little bit earlier. So thank you and congratulations. We thank you for your support. Jermaine Weaver from Lochhaven, thank you for your pledge of support, as well as an anonymous pledge from State College that was called in online. We've got our friend Kelvin and Chip and Connie Young from Lochhaven calling in their pledge of support tonight, and another anonymous caller pledging their support from Snowshoe. So see, you don't have to be from Lochhaven to be a fan of all of the Our Town Lochhavens. We'd love to hear from anyone in our community or even around the world, because we're streaming this on WPSU.org/live. It's not too late to let your friends and relatives and former Lochhaven folks know. But the important thing to do is to call now. And now I'm joined by our great community volunteer, Scott, to have more thank yous on the way. Right, Scott?
Yeah, we've got the phones ringing, but we want to keep going. All right, 1-800-2, there we go, 1-800-245-9779. Again, a quick thank you to our phone volunteers who all came down from the Lochhaven area to our studios here in State College, and we've been really hearing been watching some interesting stories, hearing some interesting stories from some of you. Let's give some thank yous out here to the Murrays from Lochhaven. Folks, thank you very much for your contribution of support. Also, Rick Conklin of Lochhaven, and Rick put a note in here. He wants to thank WPSU for their support. No, Rick, thank you for your support, because it's your kind contribution that helps keep the Our Town series going here on WPSU. Also, a thank you to Wayne and Ann Russell of Lochhaven. Thank you very much for your kind contribution. Jane Lee Yair of Clearfield. Now, if I'm reading this right, I think Jane Lee is originally from Woolwich. I see that noted down here, so that's sort of just down the road. So, Jane Lee, thank you very much. And also a thank you to Roberta Daniels from Millhall. And a note here, Roberta renewed her membership. So, Roberta, thank you very much for doing that. And now, folks, we're looking for your call of support at 1-800-245-9779. We've enjoyed so many great stories. We have more to come, so don't go anywhere. I don't know what we ever did before drones. Those drone shots from up above here someplace are just breathtaking. In that last segment, we had that shot of the sunflower field. Wow. I'm a rural guy, and I love that. And I tell you what, there is nothing like a Texas hot dog. Nothing. They're going to have buku business tomorrow at the Texas hot dog stand, so go there, all right? Again, folks, if you would like to absolutely remember this show tonight, we have our DVD special with a contribution of $75. You can get one copy of Our Town Lochhaven 2, and for $120, we'll send you 2 DVDs. But we need your call right now, 1-800-245-9779. Let's go back to Pat.
I did a quick survey here. Looks like we have 4 phones open right now, so there's ample opportunity for you to make your call. No waiting. Get through now. Do your part. Again, a pledge of $75. We can thank you with 1 copy of the Our Town Lochhaven 2 DVD. For your gift of $120, we can thank you with 2 copies. And as we've said before, you get 2 copies, keep 1 for yourself. give someone else that you know, maybe somebody who moved out of town or somebody who hasn't been back in a long time, a copy for them for their review. It's a great gift for the holidays. You can always stick it aside and keep it and give it to somebody for a birthday or for Christmas. It's never too early to start your Christmas shopping when PBS is doing in our town. So now's the time to make your call, 1-800-245-9779. You can also make your gift online at WPSU.org. I'd like to thank an anonymous contributor from Castania. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. I would like to thank Joanne Bowes of Lochhaven. Thank you, Joanne. Great to hear from you. I would like to thank Lisa Zerby of Lochhaven. Thank you, Lisa. Great to hear from you. Glad to have you with us tonight. I would very much like to thank Lee and Becky Gilbert of Jersey Shore, Pennsylvania. I remember Jersey Shore, played a lot of high school football down there when we were still wearing suits of armor to do it. And I'd like to thank Linda Koch of Lochhaven. Linda Koch is a dear, dear person. We love her immensely. She was a member of our board for many years here, as well as serving for a number of years at Lochhaven University. Okay, and here's the big thing. I'm so incredibly pleased about this. I start by saying I am a Lochhaven dad. My daughter is a recent alum, just graduated from Lochhaven University. My son is a first-year student at Lochhaven, just completed his first year. And so I'd like to give a big shout-out to somebody who called, having tuned in tonight to watch and who wanted to do their part. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to give a big thank you to Robert Pignatello of Wayne, New Jersey. He is the new incoming president of Lochhaven University, and he's watching tonight, wanted to do his part. Thank you, sir. You're coming into a great school and a great community, and we're really happy to have you in our region. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. 1-800-245-9779 is the number you called to do your part. Let's keep all those phones busy. There are great stories yet to be told here tonight, and we're going to tell them. There are great stories to be told all across central Pennsylvania, and your gifts help make that possible, whether it's in our town, Lochhaven, in our town, Reynoldsville, and our town, anywhere we choose to go. We go because the people there want to have public television, and they want us to tell their stories. So do your part right now. Carolyn.
Oh, my goodness. The phones are ringing off the hooks, and we thank you so much. That new president of Lochhaven University is seeing firsthand what great community this is, and that is wonderful. And I know Maria had taken a break. Sure, we're going to have her story coming up in the next segment that she did, but she's also volunteering her time here tonight. I'm not sure. Do we have a phone line? Yes, we have one line open right now, but don't worry. If you get a busy signal, call back or head online at WPSU.org. 1-800-245-9779 is the number to call. Again, we've got thank you gifts to offer to you if you're able to call in a pledge of support. And we're showcasing the ones that tie in, of course, with the Our Town segment. For a $75 pledge of support, we can offer you and ship you that DVD so you can have it for all time's sake. And if you're able, at a $120 level pledge of support, we can ship you two. But really, any dollar amount that you'll call in tonight helps us further that cause of our voices throughout central Pennsylvania, bringing you these stories of our towns across central Pennsylvania. 96.1 tonight. Second time we've been to Lochhaven, and we can't thank the Lochhaven folks enough for the great show of support that we're seeing here, that we saw out in the community, including the pledges of support online here that are coming in. Terry Scanlon has called in his pledge of support. Carson and Carol Brown from Lochhaven, thank you very much for calling in. Amy Vance, who is someone from Hummelstown, called in her pledge of support. And a special one that I want to make a special mention to, Seth and Elizabeth Ulmer from Lochhaven called in a pledge. Now, you just saw Seth with his farm from the Big Island, and Elizabeth was very instrumental in helping us set all of this up. And I cannot wait, Seth and Elizabeth, to come out and see those sunflowers when they bloom this fall. I will be on that island to take a look at those. Those are just one of the great stories coming out of the Lochhaven community. Won't you help us continue telling these great stories? Please make your pledge of support right now by picking up the phone and giving us a call at 1-800-245-9779, and we'll be clapping for you next. Right, Scott?
All right. I know where this is going. I know where this is going. We're going to get back to my friend Pat in a moment, okay? He's got a proud Lochhaven University alum. He's got a Lochhaven University student in his house. So for the president of the new president of the university, I know Pat wants a dining card, okay? He wants a dining card. So see if you... No, I don't care. Let's help him out. 1-800-245-9779. We've been doing great, folks. You've been awesome. It's your contributions of support that allow this series to continue. We've got more shows. We have another one coming up next month. We have more coming up later this year. None of this happens without your contribution. I'm certain we've got some folks watching tonight. They're watching just because of this show, which is great. I know we have some folks watching tonight. They always watch WPSU. It's their favorite television station. If you're in either of those groups and you value these programs, that's why we come on here this evening to ask for your contribution of support. 1-800-245-9779, or you can go online to WPSU.org. Look for the donate button up there in the corner of the homepage, and you can do that very easily. Now, I hope I get all the names right here. First, we have an anonymous donation from Lochhaven. Thank you very much. We have Michael Rendos from Lochhaven. Michael, thank you very much for your contribution. We have Charlie and Bonnie Rosamilia of Lochhaven. Thank you very much for your kind contribution of support. Steve Poorman of Lochhaven. Steve, thank you for taking the time and making a contribution tonight. And Keith Lynn from Lochhaven. Keith, as always, thank you very much for your contribution. I'll throw a challenge out there. Let's see how many contributions we can get from Castina. I'm not sure it's Castanilla. I think some locals pronounce it Castina. I could be wrong there, but I don't think so. Anyway, we're looking for your contribution. 1-800-245-9779 is the phone number to dial. And let's go to Dining Card Man, my friend Pat.
Okay, I need to make one quick correction. I didn't say I was a Lochhaven grad. I said I was a proud Lochhaven dad. I attended elsewhere, but I encouraged, as a former college admissions officer, I encouraged my children to make the decision about a school that was best for them. Both of them chose Lochhaven. So that's cool, all right? Okay, it's all good. It wasn't about me going. Well, and I still want the dining card. Actually, I've eaten in Bentley, and it's really good. So, okay, so 1-800-245-9779 is the number that you call. If you'd like to make your gift online, you can do that at WPSU.org. But the fact of the matter is, we want to hear from you. We want to hear from you right now, not later, not when you get around to it. Right now, if you're near the phone, you've got your phone in your hand, your phone in your pocket, whatever, pick up and call 1-800-245-9779. For your gift of $75, we can thank you with one copy of tonight's show on DVD. For your gift of $120, we can thank you with 2 copies of tonight's show on DVD. And if you need more than that because you want to mail them to out-of-town friends or out-of-town relatives, you want to give them as Christmas gifts, you let us know how many you need, and we'll arrive at a figure that makes that available to you. 1-800-245-9779. Let me thank an anonymous contributor from Lochhaven. I'd like to thank Becky Corey from that's Sal and Becky Corey from Brockport, Pennsylvania. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. And I'd like to thank Patricia Blake from Punxsutawney, PA, who called in to make a gift and let us know that she was enjoying the show and wanted to do her part. Thanks to those individuals. I want to thank you next. I want to read your name in the air. I want to tell everybody where you're from. I want to talk about what great friends we are and how much we love and respect you because you do your part to support public television. Go to the phone right now. 1-800-245-9779. Carolyn.
Pat, we've had such a great response on the phone that if you'd like and prefer to, you can go online anytime, including right now, and we'll try to read your name, as I'm doing right now. An anonymous caller from Lochhaven called in their pledge of support. Thank you so much. And Julie Story from Lochhaven made her call online and pledged her support. So thank you very much. And Donald and Shirley Foster, also from Howard, Pennsylvania, are pledging their support for our town program, Lochhaven, tonight. Second time we've been in this community, 96th episode that we started this legacy over 20 years ago, and we're continuing it with those great stories tonight from our friends at Lochhaven. For a $60 pledge, a new member benefit. We just started doing this a little bit ago, and for any pledge of $60 or more, all you have to do is let our phone volunteers, or if you go online, let us know what your email address is. You will automatically qualify for Passport, and that's where you can watch what you want, when you want to watch it, on the screens you want to watch it. It's kind have our archive of PBS and all great WPSU programming. We put it all on there, and you can binge watch whatever. You can binge watch the old Our Towns on there. We're getting those all up and ready. We won't have this one on because we want to be able to offer that as a thank you gift right now. But all the other Our Towns, if you decide to join us on the Passport Pledge tonight, and anybody at $60 or above, as long as they give us an email, we'll be able to get you lined up with passports. So that's another good reason as a thank you gift. But the real reason to give tonight is because you do value what we're doing here on public television, primarily WPSU tonight, bringing you these stories from Lochhaven in Clinton County. 1-800-245-9779. You're responding, Lochhaven. We thank you so much, and we want to hear from you next. You can also go online at WPSU.org. Scott?
Okay, we were kidding about the dining cart, all right? That was a shameless joke. Pat really wants a Texas hot dog. That's what he wants, okay? You're on that on your own. We're going to go back to the show in just a moment. More great stories coming up. But I tell you what, we have interesting stories from people who are calling in with contributions. First of all, we have Shirley and Richard from Avis, Pennsylvania. Folks, thanks very much for your kind contribution. We have Katney Ebeling of Mackeyville, Pennsylvania. I know where that is, so I hope I got that right. Katney, thank you very much for your contribution. We have Jeff Snyder from Lochhaven, who's one of the county commissioners for Clinton County. He and his wife, Tony. Thank you very much, folks, for your kind contribution of support. We have Melissa and Leroy Smith from Lochhaven. Thank you very much for calling in tonight. We have Thomas Storm of Lewistown. Now, here's a story. It says that Thomas and his wife, Janet, met at Lochhaven University, and they got married at Immaculate Conception Church in Lochhaven. They are tied in. Thank you so much for your contribution. And we have Aaron Kennedy from Lochhaven, and we have a shout out to the Broken Axe, where they are having a watch party tonight. Way to go. Now, Aaron, I'm certain you're not watching all by yourself at the Broken Axe. I'm sure there's other people with you. So how about those other folks? Pick up the phone, make your contribution of support, whatever level you like, folks. That's completely up to you. Now, we do have thank you gifts. We appreciate that. Again, if you want to keep this program forever, contribution of $75, we will send you a copy of the Our Town Lochhaven 2 DVD. And for a $120 contribution, we will send you 2 of them. And as Pat's mentioned, I think, keep one, take the other one, Christmas gift, send it to some Lochhaven person who's far away, California, China, the moon, wherever they are, and they can enjoy it as well. So we're looking for your contribution, folks, right now, 1-800-245-9779. And before we go back to the show, one more time, back to Pat.
Okay, very quickly, friendly reminder. You go to the phone. You call 1-800-245-9779. You get one of our fabulous volunteers here in the studio. They ask you a few questions. It takes about 2 minutes, and you have done your part to support public television. You've also done your part to buy a little bit of history, to share in the history and in the life that is Lochhaven. This is your community. These are the homes you live in. These are the people you go to church with, the places where you do business. This is your opportunity to do a great thing, to grab a piece of that history, to grab a piece of that town, that environment, and that community that you love, and to support public television. So 1-800-245-9779 is the number to call. Make a gift of $75. We will thank you with 1 copy of Our Town Lochhaven 2 in DVD, a gift of $120, and we'll give you 2 copies, one for you, one for somebody else that you want to share with. But do that now. You don't want to follow in the footsteps of Jim Leone of Lochhaven. Thank you, Jim. We'd like to thank Megan Flynn of Lochhaven. Thank you very much. And Bobby Shawley of Mill Hall. Thank you very much for doing your part tonight. We'd like to thank you next. Our Town Lochhaven, a great show. Lochhaven, a great community. And who are we hearing from tonight? You, your friends, and your neighbors. Everyone who wants to do their part for public television and celebrate with us everything that's Lochhaven tonight. Please do your part right now. 1-800-245-9779. Make your gift online at WPSU.org. We're just about to go back to the show. I'm not quite sure how much time we have yet, but we're just about to go back to the show. And if you haven't made your call yet, you can write that number down, 1-800-245-9779. In the meantime, we're going to go over to Carolyn. Carolyn, I think we're headed back to the show in about 2 minutes, so maybe you want to thank somebody.
I do. I have a couple more folks to thank. Thank you. These folks are from outside of Lochhaven, but they appreciate it. Montoursville's Lois Walter Gross. Thank you so much for your pledge of support, Lois. And Natalie Rosamelia from Port Matilda. She and her whole family called in a pledge of support tonight. So those are just two of the many folks that are watching these great shows, these great stories from the Lochhaven residents tonight. We also want to give a shout out and thank you to Pizza Mia, who just opened up a brand new, I believe, office or a restaurant in the Lochhaven community, and they fed us tonight. And that's why our phone bank volunteers are happily answering your phones, because we've eaten all the pizza. We need to get your calls made right now at 1-800-245-9779 and call in your pledge of support and talk to our friends also from the Lochhaven community. You probably know the folks behind me there. You recognize their faces. Actually, Maria there, the one who's busy on a call, her own story that she featured as our city planner in Lochhaven. She'll be showcasing her own story here coming up in just a minute. You can also go online if the phone lines are too busy or you want to, go online while you're watching this segment. That would be great. WPSU.org is the online way to call. And coming up, we've got that story, a personal one about the very, very major flood of 1972. I've heard about this. I was not in the community at that time, but I've heard many residents talk about that flood, one of the many stories, and get a tour of some of the Lochhaven's neighborhoods coming up. That's all yet to come. But, Scott, we've still got some thank yous, right, before we go to this next segment?
Very quickly, all right, we want to thank an anonymous contribution from Lochhaven. Thank you very much. And also Felicia Dombrowski of Lochhaven. Felicia apparently is a Lochhaven University alum who says she loves this place. And all the phone volunteers, there they are, the folks behind us from most from the Lochhaven area, they love this place. And that's why we continue to do these Our Town programs, all the different ones that we do all over central and northern Pennsylvania, all the great stories we're going to hear, and going back here in just a moment. We love this place, and we want to remember those stories forever, for perpetuity, not just tonight, but of course forever. And that's why WPSU created the Our Town series over 20 years ago. It's been going strong. We're counting up to episode number 100 shortly, I think maybe in a few months or so. And it's because we love this place. There is no place like Lochhaven, like central Pennsylvania, northern Pennsylvania, anywhere. And you will only find one place where these stories are compiled, and that's right here, your public television station, WPSU. But it doesn't happen without your contribution of support. 1-800-245-9779. If you've been sitting and enjoying the program tonight, we'll get back to more stories here in just a little bit. Again, it doesn't happen without your support. WPSU.org, if it's more handy for you to be on the computer, that's perfectly fine. But let's see if we can get your phone call right now to keep this series going. 1-800-245-9779. Now we'll go back to Pat.
I'm told we've made the decision in the control room. We're going to stretch here in the break just a few minutes longer because the phones have continued to be busy. That's a great sign. We like that. So let's keep those phones busy. Let's take your call of support right now at 1-800-245-9779. We'll get back to the show shortly. I swear, we're going to run every story tonight, every minute of this production. We'll be on tonight, and you're going to get to see everything. We're here for the long run, and it's all good. I'd like to give a big shout-out to John Wirt of Lochhaven, Pennsylvania. Thanks you so much, sir, for your call and pledge of support. Good to hear from you. How about you next? How about maybe a call of $75? You'll get a copy of the show, Our Town Lochhaven 2. Also remember, because you've given more than $60, you also qualify for the benefit of WPSU Passport. And if you make a gift of $120, oops, there you see the reference to Passport. Passport is essentially the archive of PBS programming that you can draw upon anytime through your many, many devices that everyone seems to have nowadays. So it also includes access to all of the Our Towns that we've created over the years, as well as other WPSU productions. So it's a great opportunity to sit and watch what you want to watch when you want to watch it. And as I mentioned before, a gift of $120, we can thank you with 2 DVDs of the program you're watching tonight. So again, a great history. It's there's one of the volunteers that we had a number of years back was a judge in another town, and he did a piece on their town, and he talked about the fact that the history of America is the history of small towns writ large, and it's absolutely true. I think it's actually a quote that he kind of purloined from someone else, but whatever the original source, it's absolutely true. America is a series of small towns and communities that bond together in one intense mass of people who share interests. They share stories, they share histories, they rise and fall as a community, and tonight we get a chance to track a portion of that history, a portion of that sociology through our town, Lochhaven. Do your part. Make sure that this story is supported. Make sure that all the stories of the future are supported with your gift, your call right now at 1-800-245-9779, or make your gift online at WPSU.org. You're certainly welcome to call during the show. Write that number down, 1-800-245-9779. Online at WPSU.org. Back to some really great stories you're going to love.
You can also make your contribution at WPSU.org. Click on Donate at the top of the page. It's always available and easy to use. Thanks.
I'm Maria Boileau. I am the city planner for the city of Lochhaven, and I wanted to talk to you about the West Branch of the Susquehanna River and Lochhaven and its impact on recreation, and how the levee actually made such an improvement to the city in terms of allowing people an opportunity to enjoy the river even more.
Well, the levee was completed in 1994.
Richard Marcinkiewicz is our former city manager. He had a large part to do with the installation of the levee.
It's about 6.5 miles long. It's an earthen levee, and includes an amphitheater, a 3-mile river walk on City Beach, and access for boats. It was a controversial project because people were concerned about losing access. So some of the features it included in the project to help mitigate that. Primary purpose of it is flood protection. And since it was finished in 1994, we've had 2 floods that would have put about 6 feet of water in the business district of the city.
The next person that I interviewed was Jack Bailey. He's our recreation director for the city of Lochhaven. Jack's had 58 years with the city.
Councils have been very, very generous to the city for recreation, and we're very happy for that. We have 120 acres of parks in the city. We have 4 of our playgrounds that are supervised in the summertime. We have a free swimming program that starts 1 week before the playgrounds for a 9-week program at our beach with lifeguards, noon to 8 o'clock every evening.
The next interview is with Bob Rowley. He is the publisher of The Express, and he's also a member of the Summer Concert Committee, and this year is the 20th anniversary for the City of Lochhaven Summer Concert Series.
The Summer Concert Series is one of the highlights of the summer season in Lochhaven. It's 2 per weekend, pretty much every weekend. Friday nights at Triangle Park, and Sunday nights on the floating stage on the West Branch of the Susquehanna River. Lochhaven's blessed to have a floating stage on the river here with an amphitheater that seats 2,500 people. And the tradition is the boats line up behind the stage, and it's quite a spectacle. And of course, you know, you're there on the water in downtown Lochhaven, and the sun sets, and it's a great scene.
John Floyd was a photographer in the city of Lochhaven in the late 1800s, and we have quite a few photos of his from that time period that are a nice way to demonstrate the value of the river. It's really a very important part of the city's recreation, and always has been. With the levee, with the river walk, and the opportunities that you have, it's just a beautiful community to live in.
My name is Mike Hoy, and I want to talk about how I spent my life in Lochhaven and Clinton County. I spent a lot of time on Main Street as a kid because that's where the family was, and that's where a lot of people were. My parents started Hoy's Men's Clothing Store in downtown Lochhaven in 1940. I was raised behind the store for approximately 6-7 years. Back then, Lochhaven was a very interesting experience because it was extremely busy downtown. People back then, there was good money in town, there were good jobs. At one time, we had 5 independently owned men's stores, 4 independently owned women's stores, plus 5 chain stores. We had customers come down from State College, Bellefonte, some up from Williamsport. You would have a promotion, a townwide promotion. The Merchants Bureau had this wonderful idea to give away turkeys, but we were going to do it from the roof of the J.J. Newberry building. So here are these people up there throwing live turkeys off the roof of J.J. Newberry's and kids scurrying. Luckily, the turkeys they could glide. They couldn't exactly fly like wild turkeys. And kids were around scurrying, trying to catch these turkeys. To me, the biggest impact for me was the 1972 flood. We were told it was going to go to 29 feet, and we started to put stuff up in the store. We were prepared for 29 feet. I said, I'm going to stay, and Chris Dwyer said, I'll stay too. Then all of a sudden there was a roar. So I went to the cellar. Here the water was pouring through the window wells, and it filled the basement. Up the stairs we went, came down, up and down, up and down. Pretty soon the carpet was squish, squish, squish. Then it was up to your ankles. You're still carrying stuff up because you couldn't stop, because it wasn't going to stop. All night we carried stuff up until it got to our waists. The shirts in their plastic bags were floating now. So we'd push the door out, and the damn shirts, excuse the French, would float out. I'd be grabbing these shirts. We weren't going to, I kept throwing them back in. I wasn't going to let that flood get those shirts. We could only do so much. The cleanup was worse. Used snow shovels to get the mud out. After the flood, the merchants were just trying to clean things up, get back into business. Some were able to get back into business sooner. Fire companies would come in and pump out the cellars. They'd wash down the sidewalks. Everybody took care of themselves and tried to help when needed. People just did it. I have roots here. Sometimes I think my roots are too deep, but they're here. And it's hard for me to put in words why I like it, because I just do.
Hi, I'm Fred Hoy. I'm a lifelong resident of Clinton County, Pennsylvania, in Lochhaven. And I'd like to talk to you about Lochhaven, what I think is wonderful about this town. I'm a teacher at Central Mountain High School in Keystone Central CTC, and one of my expertise areas is architectural drawing. We learn about the history of architecture. We use Lochhaven as one of the examples that's easy to grab a hold of because it's right here. The city of Lochhaven was born around the Valdigo Crosscut Canal. 1833 was the year. Lochhaven is surrounded by many great resources at the time. It grew very quickly. One notable architect was Samuel Sloan. One of the first big structures that he was involved in was the Fallon Hotel. The Fallon House Hotel started in 1854. It was open to visitors in 1856. There's an Italian influence, Italian style, and it was very typical to that period. The next building I wanted to talk about was called the James Jeffries House. He purchased the property from Jarett Church. The surrounding 120 acres of that property became a farm, and he farmed that till his death. That is probably the oldest standing residence in Clinton County today. And it's actually just been recently resided into a very simple vinyl siding. It's very understated and just kind of this little piece of history that Lochhaven people really don't know about. Another notable house in the city of Lochhaven is the Fayan Jarett House. Colonel Fayan Jarett was best known as a Civil War colonel, leading one of the first armies that actually went up against Stonewall Jackson. He was also a civil engineer. When the railroad came to Lochhaven, he was in charge of doing some of the layout and carrying that north. This house is a very Gothic structure. It's a little cottage. well restored. One of my favorite houses in Lochhaven is on Water Street. The Donald Hopkins House is a very typical Georgian-style architecture. Brick structure, has a big brick fence around the outside of the property. There's a lot of symmetry in the design. What's really interesting about this house is it's almost exactly the same as it was when it was built. It's downtown Water Street. I would call this kind of like Millionaire's Row. It's where all the lumber barons built their homes. As the money started rolling into the Lochhaven area, the big houses started popping up along the river. And this is a really good example of one of those later structures. I think it's neat to tap into your roots. I've always been a kind of a fan of history. I think it's neat to see architectural styles change as our technology changes, but it's also neat to hang on to a little bit of the past.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kristen Vincennes, and I am the program director for the Masters in Clinical Mental Health Counseling at Lochhaven University. Across the state of Pennsylvania, we are only meeting 38% of the mental health needs in our state.
So the first step in this is identifying the problem.
The program is 100% online. It enables students, no matter where they live, to access the education that Lochhaven University provides, and it allows for them to be able to learn about mental health and the needs within their own communities, and then they can go out and they can start providing that significant area of demand.
Because sometimes the parents...
We use Zoom to be able to interact with them from the time that they enter the program to the time that they leave the program. So that's one of the neatest things that our students really enjoy about it, is that opportunity to collaborate with their peers and their faculty on a consistent basis. A lot of our student population is in the state of Pennsylvania. However, we are branching out nationally, and there's discussion of international. One of the needs across our nation is the needs for mental health in substance abuse. And so that is an area that we do focus on and have courses on. We are working on creating certificates in that area as well as in trauma-informed care, because they kind of come together. Lochhaven is a small rural area. A lot of people know each other, so connections and relationships and the ability to work cohesively with each other and collaborate with one another is really nice in a small town. I really like that opportunity that I think rural areas allow for.
My name is Nancy Antrim. I'm here today to talk about our local library, Annie Hallenbeck Ross Library. It is a county library. We serve all of Clinton County. We have a branch in Beech Creek, and the people in Renovo, they have a library in Renovo. We have books by mail, and we have a county librarian who delivers books to retirement homes, nursing homes, and also local daycares and preschools. Annie Hallenbeck Ross, who the library is named for, donated her home to the city of Lochhaven in, I think it's 1902. It's been an integral part of the community. It has community space. It's a meeting place for the United Way. It's a meeting place for teachers' organizations. We have ladies who come to play mahjong twice a week. Communities need a community space that's accessible to everybody. And that's what libraries do for this community and many others. I'm the youth services librarian. I've been at Ross Library for 17 and a half years. I do story times, I run summer programs, I hold a theater camp every summer, I do a performance poetry workshop with the homeschoolers. We have a beautiful play area with a Clifford dog house, and kids love that, and they put puzzles together, they build with blocks, they get to know how to play with other kids. They can do that at other places, but this is a place that's accessible to everybody, and you never know who you're going to meet. Children's libraries are not the shush place they used to be, but they're not crazy. Well, sometimes they are, but most of the time it's nice and quiet. We have more information available to us than ever before. A librarian really is a great resource for parents, for grandparents, for babysitters, to guide people through the bombardment of information that they get. It's never boring at the library.
I'm Bonnie Hannes, and I'm here to talk about the Castanea train station. The trains came to Lochhaven about 1850. They came bearing goods, and they also came bearing passengers. And that service generally continued through the 1950s. Freight continues to be handled through Lochhaven, but we don't have places where the train stops anymore. What's significant, I think, about the Castanea train station is we kind of have an old building that has now become something new. Back in what was originally the luggage room is now a gigantic model train exhibit. And this is done by the Clinton Model Train Club. And it's a wonderful display because it's not only the trains running, but it's also the communities and the economic and commercial businesses that are going on. The train station also has on its site a caboose, which is a B&B room that you can rent. Our very first visitor was a grandfather and a grandson. And Grandpa had worked on the railroad, and he wanted his grandson to have a little bit idea about what it was like working on the railroad and traveling on the railroad. So the caboose gave them that experience. We also have a reproduced water tower that was built by the Votech high school kids. And that is actually a little transportation museum. You can go in there and you can learn about the canals, you can learn about the trains. We know that a lot of the old train tracks have been turned into trails. And the Castanea train station will be the trailhead for new connector trail that will run from Castanea to the Pine Creek Rails to Trails, which is one of the premier trails, in Pennsylvania. And also in the future, already plans are in the works to connect Milesburg and Bellefonte area to Castanea. So we're going to have a trail system that's going to be over 100 miles in length, and it's going to be fabulous. And so it's kind of nice to see an old historic place being turned into a very new use. And we're telling a story. History is not about people that we don't know. History is about people who are just like us.
I'm Joseph Moore, and I'm here to talk about what it's like to be a kid in our community. I interviewed one of my classmates. His name's Asher Coral. I talked to him about what it was like to play baseball with some of the kids who made a run to the Little League World Series a couple years ago.
I grew up with all the kids on the team. They were kind of like a second family, and I ended up playing my sophomore year with the majority of them. And it was just a good time, and I feel like it brought the community closer together.
Talked to Rocco Stark, a sophomore at Central Mountain, about Leo's.
My grandfather owned it, and ever since I was little, I would always visit there and go there. And now my mom owns it, and now I live there.
To me, Leo's was like when it was a rainy day in the summer and like there was much to do, my mom would go, hey, let's go to Leo's and go get some subs. And I love subs. They're my favorite food ever. I could eat one every day. I interviewed a kid named Lane Harbaugh. He is a sophomore at Central Mountain. He lives on a dairy farm over in Loganton, actually.
I get to participate in 4-H and other agriculture events that not a lot of people around our area get to do, like in the larger cities. So it's pretty nice that we get to do that in such a small community.
I interviewed a student named Cheyenne Bennet, and Cheyenne is part of our CTE program at Central Mountain High School, which is Career and Technical Education. It sets you up for a degree in college that is part of the STEM thing, which is science, technology, math, and engineering.
And they prepare us for our future, which my class is home occupations, and it got me the opportunity to get a program in Susquehanna River.
I'm a senior at Central Mountain. I've been part of CTE since I was a sophomore, and the course that I'm enrolled in is drafting design technology. I'm a trail runner, so I'm always out running the trails, and the great part about Lochhaven is we have, like, there's trails everywhere. We have like Zindel Park, we have the Castanea Reservoir, we have up at Hyner. There's just trails everywhere to run, and like in the trail community, nobody's mean to each other. Like, you can be on the trail and you can be having the worst time ever. Your feet are hurting, your knees are hurting, and like somebody will come up behind you, somebody you don't even know, and they'll be like, you got this, keep going, and they'll run with you. And like, I've made so many friends just running on the trails. I am looking forward to moving out and seeing other parts of the country and other parts of the world, but I will probably have to raise my kids in this community because this is where my family is. It's a great community and I love it.
Coming up, we'll show you the pride Lochhaven has for its vets. We'll also check out the local restaurant scene and show what one couple is doing to help preserve the history of the area. But first, please show your support for Lochhaven and WPSU by making a pledge. Thanks.
Thank you very much, and welcome back. We are taking just a short time out here during this great program of Our Town Lochhaven to ask you to pledge your support for this type of programming. We've had an overwhelming response from our residents here, and the phones start ringing right now, so thank you. I should tell you that number right away. You see it at the bottom of your screen, and that's why we're taking this time out to let you not interrupt your programming and not interrupt all those great stories, but now is the time to pick up the phone and make those calls of support. 1-800-245-9779 is the number to call, or you can head online at WPSU.org, just like a former employee of Piper Aircraft called in anonymously from the South Williamsport area. Thank you so much. That was a great story about Piper Museum earlier in the broadcast. And another anonymous caller calling in from Williamsport. We thank you so much for your pledge of support. And what do you do in addition to knowing that you're helping create more local stories for other people and for other communities, because we're going to continue this Our Town? Well, we've got some thank you gifts too tonight, special thank you gifts for those folks who are keenly interested in learning all about Lochhaven, and that is for a $75 pledge of support. We can send you a copy of tonight's program without all of this jibber jabber between, so you'll get to see the wonderful 28 plus stories. What an overwhelming lovely show of support that we had in all the community and all the different types of stories. And if you're able, at $120 pledging of support, we can send you 2 DVDs. But the most important reason to give tonight is, of course, because of what we're doing here. We're bringing you the stories. We're bringing you the stories of the folks that are answering the phones there. Some of them were the storytellers in the stories, and they're back here from Lochhaven taking your calls right now. And they're also, we're asking you to pledge because we want to continue this type of programming. You won't see this anywhere else but on public television. There's just no place else where you can go to get those kind of in-depth stories. And guess what? We're not the ones that determine what stories Lochhaven decided to show us. It was all of the people in the community that came together and brought those stories to us. And the man who kind of put those stories in one piece tonight to show all of you is our friend Bill Wallace. Bill joins us now.
I have a couple of people that I'd like to thank, but first I'd like to expand a little bit on what Carolyn was talking about. My son is a business school graduate, and as a business school graduate, he would laugh at our business model. What we do is we produce programming, and then we put it on the air, and then we ask you to help us pay to put it together. It is a backwards model, to say the least, but with this program in particular, it seems to work, because we have been doing this show for more than 20 years, almost 100 programs, and people call. People request copies of this program because they see something in these shows that they can't find anywhere else. A good friend of mine says every time she watches this program, she wants to go visit the place that we're featuring, because this is an opportunity for these towns to put their best foot forward and tell us why they love living there. It's a universal appeal that fortunately has not grown old for us, and we want to keep doing it. We want to keep doing something like this. We want to keep bringing in the money that helps us accomplish that, and the only way we can do that is with your help. at 1-800-245-9779, or go to your computer or your mobile device, whatever you happen to have around, that will punch a button or two at WPSU.org and send us a pledge of support so that we can keep doing things like this. Let us know you support Lochhaven. Let us know you support our town. Let us know that you support public broadcasting. Over to Michelle so that she can thank a few more people.
Thanks, Bill. You know, I'm a staff member here at WPSU, and I often do not appear during our towns. I'm happily behind the scenes. But this is a wonderful opportunity for someone like me who grew up in the suburbs of Philadelphia, not by any means a small town. We barely knew our neighbors. And when I watch the Our Towns, I'm so envious of the small town, the community, the collaboration. You hear the same words again and again. Well, this town was amazing. This program is so beautifully done, and you should be so very proud of your town. And every single one of you should be calling tonight to support this kind of an event. It's a wonderful thing, and I'm just very proud for all the people that have called. And we have some wonderful people to thank. Jack Cardamone in Mill Hall said he's calling in honor of his father, Benny Cardamone, who came to Lochhaven from Bradford with Piper Aircraft. They're making their donation in his memory. Well, bless you, and thank you so much for that phone. Actually, he went online to our website. You can do that too. Go to the website and find the donate tab, and you can make your donation that way if you'd like. We will certainly read your comments. Connie Wolf called her son, well, I guess the whole family attended St. Agnes. Her son, Mike Wolf, became a priest and was mentored by Chip Young, who we heard from. He was one of the first phone calls that we got tonight and featured in tonight's show, as you know. That's wonderful. My mom always said my dad should have been a priest. He loved the Catholic Church so much. Alice Baker and Richard McCullough from Lochhaven, thank you so much. They called that toll-free number on your screen. I want to thank you next. These are wonderful people. They understand how it works. And we had a former mayor of Lochhaven, 93 years old, Bill Eisman. Thank you so much, Bill. This is so exciting. Former mayor. He was a Clinton County commissioner, and he was the health officer during the 1942 flood. Well, thanks for all your good work for the town of Lochhaven, and thanks for supporting your PBS station, WPSU. The way you can do that right now is to call toll-free and get one of those wonderful people behind me. I've gotten to know them. It's a great group of people. 1-800-245. Look at them. 245-9779. Now, yeah, you see one staff member back there. We had to grab a few phones, but we want to hear from you next. Call. Right, Carolyn?
Absolutely. And we have a special thank you to a gentleman who represents the citizens of Clinton County and Lochhaven every day in Harrisburg. State Representative Mike and his beautiful wife, Susan Hannah, called in their pledge of support tonight. Good evening, Representative Hannah, and thank you so much for your pledge of support. You know exactly what the citizens of Lochhaven and Clinton County are all about, and the great stories that we've been able to share tonight are just proof positive of all the positive things going on in the Clinton County area tonight. In fact, Justin Bainey, who owns JB Festive Foods, the local egg roll truck. He wants to be known as the local egg roll truck. That sounds delicious. So Justin called in his pledge of support from Mill Hall. Thank you for calling in. Priscilla Davidson called in her pledge from Ramey, and she writes, in honor of my granddaughter Morgan, who will be a senior at Lochhaven University. We've got a lot of proud Lochhaven moms, dads, and also graduates of Lochhaven who are calling in their pledge of support tonight. An anonymous caller from Howard, Pennsylvania. Thank you very much. And a thank you to the Peters family from Lochhaven. A thank you to Tom and Barb Elling from Lochhaven. We have a thank you to Sean and Dana Krieger of Realty Lease Properties that are in State College. Now, there's a group of folks, a husband and wife team, who I'm sure perhaps have some properties that are available for sale in the Clinton County area or know the value of Lochhaven from a real estate point of view. So these are the kind of stories. We've just brought you some great environmental stories. I'll tell you what, I'm a runner myself, and that high school kid who said this is great for track and running, the Boulder story where you'll run up the Boulder in the very cold run in the middle of winter. I think I need to make a run to Lochhaven and try some of those routes throughout the year. Those are the reasons why many of us decide to tune in and check out these Our Town programs. And And like Bill said, every time I watch in our town, I want to come back to that community and check out the Jazz Fest that's coming up in the summer and eat at some of the delicious restaurants that are featured. And right now, we'd love to hear from you and tell us what your reason is for calling in your pledge of support. Let our great Lochhaven Phone Bank volunteers hear from you right now. Pick up the phone at 1-800-245-9779. We'd love to thank you next on air and let us know why you think this is an important place to support, an important place perhaps to call home, and of course an important PBS station to support. Right, Pat?
Actually, it's Bill.
That's Bill.
It's been a busy night tonight, folks. The phones are ringing steadily this evening. I see people back there like doing the carpal tunnel thing because their hands are getting tired. Through the magic of technology, we have a photograph that was sent to us from Julie Brennan, who was with the watching party at Stella A's in Lochhaven tonight. And I will tell you, I see an awful lot of familiar faces of people who were involved in volunteering to do stories for us for this program. And I want to thank everybody who's there tonight for all the help you gave us to make this show possible. But I also have a few other people I'd like to thank. But before I do that, I'm going to remind you the number is 1-800-245-9779, or go to WPSU.org to register your electronic pledge. But I'll tell you, these folks back here, you probably know half of them, so it would be really, really nice if you just called in. They'd be happy to hear from you, and you might get somebody you know on the phone. $75 for one copy of the DVD, $120 for two copies. I will tell you, for this show, it's a bargain because this is a big show. This show runs almost 90 minutes, so you're getting a lot for your dollar on this program. And I want to thank some people who made pledges this evening and will probably be receiving copies. We got another anonymous pledge from Howard. We got an anonymous pledge from Brandon Moore. I want to thank Mila Magent, I think it's Magent, from Lochhaven for a pledge of support. Wayne, Pamela, and William McCullough from Lochhaven called in this evening, and we thank you greatly for your pledge. Frank and Jeanette Morton from Renova called in. So we are hearing from everywhere around Lochhaven as well as the city of Lochhaven, and we greatly appreciate your pledges of support this evening. Jim and Lori McGuire from Lochhaven called in, and we thank them for that call. Linda Hawkins from Lochhaven came to college at Lochhaven, met her husband there, then they have 4 kids, and everybody lives in Lochhaven. So obviously there are people who, as Mike Hoy said, put down roots in Clinton County and put down roots in Lochhaven and find that it is a place they want to stay. And I'll tell you, after the amount of time that I have spent there and the people that I've met on our last trip, I can understand why. And another call from Jerry Hoy from Lochhaven. With a pledge of support, and I'm really good on these cold reads. This was just handed to me. The ink is not even dry yet, so I apologize if I missed anything or sounded like I didn't know what I was doing, because I've reached the point in the evening where I don't. So I'm going to send it back over to Michelle.
You know, I work here at WPSU with a wonderful person named Jess Peters, and Jessica said she had relatives that met at the Mike Hoy's store. And she wanted to tell that story, but she was not feeling well, so I'm here in her stead, but I'm going to tell you that story. These are great stories that we're hearing from you. Emily Minoski called, and she said that she grew up 4 blocks from the Piper plant. She sold lemonade to the plant employees. I love this. She and was a former 30-year employee of Piper. That is a wonderful story. The Piper stories continue. Nancy Marinar, I hope I'm saying that right, I'm sorry if I'm not, from Mill Hall said she is a Piper employee, and Nancy taught many years at the middle school. I can't read it. Our phone volunteers are very busy. Sometimes they're not writing very clearly, but we're really glad they're busy. That means they're taking your calls. So my part here at WPSU, I'm not involved with the filming, and I really wish I could go to the towns and see you tell your stories. It's so much fun to see the program after Bill does such a great job of putting it together, and you do such a great job of filming it. That when the phones are ringing and we're hearing from you, that says so much about your town and what you believe in. And you hear it again and again in all the people that spoke tonight about how close-knit you are, how people look out for each other, and the community outreach that people do. I mean, you think about the veterans associations and the churches and all the things that people do to support their community. Well, WPSU, I hope you realize now that WPSU is a big part of your community. The programs on WPSU support our children with great educational program, all the way up until to great music and drama, and you find it here, and we ask you to support it. So that toll-free number that you see on the bottom of your screen, or you can go online to WPSU.org and make your contribution. But Jack Doherty from Great Mills, Maryland, must be streaming us online, and he called in our toll-free number and talked to one of our phone volunteers. Jan Myers in Lochhaven went to our website and made her contribution. Thanks so much, Jan. Thanks to everyone who's called. We have time. Now, don't wait to the end. This will have to tell you. People call at the very end, and we don't have time to thank them because we're off air and we go to the next program. So make sure you get your call in. Tell us your stories, your connection to your wonderful town. I love seeing the young people in this program. We don't often get that. It's wonderful to see how they care about their community. Won't you be one of the people to support your great station and your town and call now? Bill. Or Carolyn.
Michelle, I'm with you. I came from a larger community, so when I welcome hearing these stories of community's life and support and just the general feel of love that folks have for each other and their love of their community, that is, I am proof positive here, what we're seeing tonight with these stories, these 28-plus stories from the Lochhaven folks. And even the people calling in, as Michelle said, have stories. Tammy Redinger from Jersey Shore, Pennsylvania, calling in her support. It's Tammy and Sean, actually. And their dad was the former owner of Charlie's Grocery. Good old Charlie's Grocery there. Thank you so much. Another Hannah called a pledge of support. Susan and Frank Hannah from Lochhaven pledged their support. I understand that Hannah name is quite large in the Clinton County area, and so we thank them very much for their call tonight. We have Michelle, Maya, and Bill Kroll from Lochhaven calling in their pledge. Thank you. Joanne Furl also calling in her pledge from Lochhaven, and Andrew Talbot from Lochhaven, and the whole Talbot family calling in and saying, we are proud residents of the Lochhaven community. And guess what? As Michelle said in that last pledge from Maryland, we are streaming this program, so it's not too late to let your friends and neighbors that might live elsewhere tell them it's not too late to tune in. We've still got many more stories to tell here coming up in just a few minutes. And that is a new way to give and a new way to watch. WPSU.org, and then you put a / and live, and you can watch this streamed all over the world. So let's see where that next call might come from, even outside this beloved Clinton County community. But the important thing right now is we want to thank you, which means we want the calls to happen now before we go to that next part of our program, or go online to WPSU.org right now. Right, Bill?
Absolutely. I've got a couple of people I'd like to thank. Got a pledge of support from County Commissioner Paul Conklin and his wife Kathy. We greatly appreciate that call. Bob Emmert from Lochhaven called in with a pledge of support. Sue Stover from Lochhaven, who is the owner of the Avenue Bed and Breakfast, she says she's going to show this DVD to her guests. And we found an awful lot of other people who do that sort of thing with the DVDs that we make available at 1-800-245-9779 with a $75 pledge of support. We'll be happy to send you a copy of the show for $120. We'll be happy to send you 2 copies of the show. 1-800-245-9779 or WPSU.org. Now, you had a phone call from Maryland, Carolyn.
Yes, I did.
Well, on the radio at this point they would say no more calls, please. We have a winner. Because I have received a call from Belinda Dworak in honor of Jim and Elaine Connor of Lochhaven. Belinda is in Omaha, Nebraska. watching us live on the stream. And I would say no more calls, please, but please, more calls. We're going to go back to the program in about 30 seconds. So we would love to hear from you during the show. We've got one more block of really, really great stories. We'll be back shortly after that. And if you're further away than Omaha, Nebraska, please call. We would love to hear from you. 1-800-245-9779 is the number. And we greatly appreciate all the energy and all the phone calls and the wonderful people who are calling in and helped us put this program together. Thank you very much. We'll be back in a minute or two.
You can also make your contribution at WPSU.org. Click on Donate at the top of the page. It's always available and easy to use. Thanks.
I'm Carol Hanna. We're going to talk about the signs that my husband and I had made to put on the Riverwalk, explaining some of the historical events and happenings connected with the Susquehanna River here in Lochhaven. My husband and I have lived on the river all our lives, and we would spend a lot of time walking on the levee, and we would begin talking about, oh, do you remember Lockport that used to be across the river? And this is where the old covered bridge used to be. And I think there are a lot of visitors that come to Lochhaven that know nothing about these things. I think a lot of the permanent residents here don't remember or know these things. And we thought it would be great, as people were walking and enjoying the beauty of the river, they could also learn some of the history of the area. We hatched the idea early 2015. First of all, we had to get permission from the Army Corps of Engineers to be able to dig the footers to put the signs in. We spent many afternoons at the library looking and pouring through pictures, and it really was a lot of fun. We had a local friend who's a contractor help dig the footers, and our son actually helped with some of the work, and it was a real group effort. We have permission to put 16 in. We have 8 in right now. I think the logging years is one of the most interesting. During those years, that is when Lochhaven actually started to expand and grow. The bridges, the history of the bridges. There was an old covered bridge that had burnt, and then a free ferry service was provided back and forth across the river until they could replace that bridge. The very last sign, as you go downriver on the levee, pertains to the Native American Indians and their settling of the Great Island. Many Indian artifacts have been found in this area. It's the last plaque, but they were probably the first people. I just think these things should not be forgotten. It's such an important part of Lochhaven's history. And it's interesting. It's a lot of fun. I still live in the same house that my great-great-grandfather built in 1885. I've never lived in another house. We love the river. We've had some bad experiences with the river, as everybody here has, but the good definitely outweighs the bad. It's a great place.
Hi, I'm Doug Spatafor, and I'm here today to introduce the Long family. They have a rich history at Lochhaven University. Lenny and Mary Beth Long were longtime faculty members at Lochhaven University, and Lenny was also the head soccer coach and had a tremendous career at Lochhaven University. And now it's a privilege that we have his son as the head coach as well at Lochhaven University, leading our men's soccer program. I recently had the pleasure to interview Mary Beth and Lenny Long and talk a little bit about what makes Lochhaven special to them.
We had some great connections. I was fortunate to have some great assistant coaches. I had great alumni who helped me in the recruiting process. And if all those things are in place, you generally get pretty good people. And for the most part, my guys were just phenomenal. And that's just a special thing. I can look at wins. You know, we won the conference championship a half a dozen times, and we beat Penn State 3 times, and they're highlights. But the biggest highlight is just the connections you make and the friends you make.
On the professional side, to get the chance to have been a student here and have relationships with professors as a student, and then come back and work with those same individuals in administrative roles or in as colleagues on the faculty with us. Not many folks get that chance.
I also had the pleasure to sit down with Patrick Long and talk to him about his experiences at Lochhaven.
And it was really just the perfect fit. I wanted to get a degree in education, ultimately leading into a coaching career. I love teaching. Coaching is very similar in that regard. As a student, I really enjoyed all the classes I took and the student teaching opportunities. And then as a player, we were in the NCAA tournament twice. We won a PSAC championship in 2004. And I want to find guys that love Lochhaven as much as I do. I challenge my team on a daily basis that I'm born and raised, I'm a local, I'm a native to this area, to this university. I love it as much as I do. And if I can find guys that love this place as much as I do, they're going to get out of bed each morning just with a drive to do well.
I also had the pleasure to sit down with Brianne Hilty, who was born and raised in the Lochhaven area and also now attends Lochhaven University. She's a member of the women's soccer team and our softball team.
I couldn't imagine going anywhere else. It's just something special and something different about it.
So I first came to Lochhaven in 2002 as a student athlete at the university myself. And the first thing I noticed is just how special the connection is between the community and the university, and how special it is to be a student in that environment. I certainly think the university itself plays a vital role in the Lochhaven community, but more specifically, I think our student athletes do a tremendous job each year giving back to the community. So whether that's volunteering at our local schools, through reading programs, or anything like that, I think that connection and the ability for our student athletes to give back is super special.
My name is Erin Kennedy. I am the Communications Director for Team Red, White, and Blue, and I'd like to tell you a little bit more about Team RWB. Team RWB is a veteran service organization that helps veterans reconnect with their communities through physical, social, and volunteer activities. It is a national organization. Here in Lochhaven, we are part of the Lochhaven Williamsport chapter. We do a variety of different physical activities: running, trail running, yoga, rock climbing, biking, trying to help veterans reconnect to their communities through these sort of extensive physical activities, difficult physical activities. But we also have multiple social activities. Here in the Lochhaven chapter, we have a bowling night, we have a movie night, we do trivia, we have a book club. So that's kind of the social part of it, to help veterans find that social community that they might be missing after returning from any sort of deployment. I am not a veteran. Our local chapter is slightly more community members than veterans. Like many of the veterans in our organization, I was looking for a community, and Team RWB was a nice fit. I've learned so much. I don't come from a military background, so I've learned a lot, and I want to now give back to those people who are seeking a place. Team RWB helped me find a place, and so now I can help other people find a place. I'm a big city girl, and Lochhaven is sort of a small town, but the small town feel of it is actually what I really like about it in a lot of ways. Everybody knows each other, everybody takes care of each other, everybody kind of has each other's back. I like that I can go really anywhere in town, and I know people in the restaurants, I know people in the shops. I think it goes back to what we do on the team, is try to find a community for everybody, and I think we really have a solid, tight-knit community here in Lochhaven.
Hi, my name is Bill Bechtel. I'm the Clinton County Veterans Affairs Director, and we're going to talk about what we do to help the veterans. What we do in our office is we file claims for disabilities if they get injured on active duty. We do claims for like PTSD. We also do claims for spouses if something happens to the veteran. We do state claims where if a veteran, say they had a fire, their house burns down or something, we have things that we can help them get grants through the state. We do county benefits. We help people with the benefits, but we also help people if they call and they have a problem getting education benefits. We'll help them do that. If someone can't get a hold of the VA, they'll come in and I'll call. They come in, I help them, we get through, and we get the problem solved. We're going to start an outreach so we can go out and help the veterans who can't make it in to see us. We do a veterans picnic every summer. This past year we had over 200 veterans show up for a picnic in August. It was great. There was guys there who had not seen their fellow brothers or sisters for 5 or 6 years, they sit there and they talk. There's people there from 3 to 7, and they just sit there and talk and talk. It's just talking about what you did in the service. I would rather talk to a veteran about something than I would somebody else, because they're going to understand me more than what somebody else will. Lochhaven has 3,300 veterans, and of those veterans, over 1,600 of them are 65 and older. And we just need to get more of them. There's not enough coming to see us. I just want to help veterans get their benefits. There's so much out there for them. I love my job. I never give it up. These guys, they signed their name. They put their life on the line. They deserve everything they get. I've lived in this area my whole life. I left for the service. I went to Fort Polk, Louisiana. When I come back here, I said, I'll never leave the state of Pennsylvania. I'll never leave Lochhaven area. It's a great place, and it's a great place for veterans.
My name's Nicholas Oralchek, and I'm here to tell you about Broken Axe and how I came to Lochhaven. Came to Lochhaven back in 2002. I actually came as a wrestler. As many people find their way to Lochhaven, I came to Mattown, USA, and found a home here. I enjoyed being in the restaurant and bar scene. I just like talking to people and being around people. A few years back, I decided to do my own adventure and open a place of my own, but I knew I wanted to connect to Lochhaven. We decided to focus on my family's lumber history and the connection to the town, from the axe factory to the local mills to being this outpost town where loggers came back to have a good meal and get out of the woods for a little while. And that was kind of the feel that we wanted to bring to our establishment and our place. So the Broken Axe Brew House, one of the things we really wanted to focus on is bringing craft beer and the craft beer of Pennsylvania to Lochhaven. We have 22 beers on tap, all brewed in Pennsylvania, all sourced from Pennsylvania. Our food, we focus a lot on locally sourced as much as possible, and local pub food and pub fare, all made to scratch. Focus on just a very warm atmosphere, the kind of place where you can come in, just relax and have a conversation and just really feel at home. A lot of the photos that we have adorning the walls are from the Ross Archive, pictures of unfortunate disasters that happened within Lochhaven. The local buildings after the ice floods and other floods and fires, which is an unfortunate reality of a small town in Pennsylvania. All the small towns dealt with a lot of construction and rebuilding, and that kind of shows the fight of small town mentality. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of camaraderie from long established establishments, and then to see some people that I've worked with and worked around in my generation, taking that step and opening their own places, and really it's kind of like a fun generational, revival that's happening. It's little things that kind of keep you excited, having fun in Lochhaven.
My name is Prella Smith, and I'm here to talk about the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation and the effects of cystic fibrosis within our community of Lochhaven. Cystic fibrosis has impacted my life greatly, as my son has cystic fibrosis. And as I started to reach out to other people, I noticed there were quite a few in our community that were also struggling with a way to handle, cope, and take charge of this terminal illness. As I was reaching out, I found out there was a national walk, and I figured what better way to bring awareness and to get people to pull together to help raise funds to find a cure than to start this walk here in Lochhaven. So we started the Great Strides National Walk, and we have had over 265 walkers, and this year we anticipate to have more. So cystic fibrosis is a terminal illness. It has a life expectancy. Right now it's in the mid-30s, early 40s, where about 15 years ago, children born with cystic fibrosis weren't expected to live longer than the age of 8. So our fundraising has impacted the lifespan of these children. So many different medications have come out to help with this genetic disease as well, to prolong their lives and to help them lead happier, healthier lives. And it's just one of these most amazing things to see. And the day of the walk, there are hundreds of people that flock to this and support everybody that they know within the community, and outer communities come in as well. And it's just a great thing to see, and it's such a feel-good day. We just really feel that this is something the community could look at and be inspired with as well, to maybe jump on board and help us a little, just to bring some awareness as well as to what cystic fibrosis is, because there's somebody out there that they know or never even realized that they had cystic fibrosis, and there's just these connections everywhere that are being made, and just reaching out one by one like that pulls more and more people in with more support, and it's just an amazing thing.
I'm Joanne Bowes, current president of the Clinton County Historical Society, but I live in a house, a Victorian house on Water Street, owned by the First family. Sid First was born in my house and was the founding member of the Historical Society. Clyde First was a prominent lawyer in Lochhaven, and he married Jenny in 1865. They raised 4 children. My husband went to high school here in Lochhaven, and he always said he's going to move back to Lochhaven and live on Water Street or Main Street. We started looking for houses in Lochhaven in the early 1990s, and then in 95, walked into this house, and it just spoke to me that this was my house. There's a little piece of history up on the 3rd floor of the first house, and it seems to have been a Victorian tradition to draw a silhouette on the wall. And so there are pencil profiles of the 3 of the children, Sid, Edith, and Maybelle, and their Uncle Joe. So I wanted to know more about the family and what it was like in Lochhaven, and started volunteering at the Historical Society. The Historical Society is very different today than it was when Sid was one of the founding members. They didn't have a building. Right now we own 5 properties. The Heisey House Museum on the Historic Register, the Ferensville Furnace, which is on the Historic Register, one-room school, Barton Street, the Castanea train station, and the 1850 Great Island Presbyterian Church next door to the Heisey, and now it's called the Poorman Gallery. We have fundraisers. We try to have fun fundraisers. A barn dance. We have a wine tasting, Wine in the Wilds, each year. There are many interesting stories that we tell at the Heisey Museum when people come to visit. And one of our tour guides, Elaine Miller, has some very interesting ones.
And about once or twice a month, my grandfather would take a little metal box like this, and they would fill it with farm fresh eggs. They would take it to the train station and send it by train to the wealthy residents in New York City. Now, the wealthy city people would fill this little metal box with candy and send it back to the farm, and that certainly was a great day at the farm when this would come back filled with candy.
I love it here because it is a safe, friendly community. I grew up in a suburb of New York City and taught near Washington. My friends would say, "Joanne, what are you going to do when you go back to Lochhaven?" Well, they're as surprised as I was, because there's art, there's culture, there's outdoors, bird watching, gardening, concerts. There's a lot in this community. You just have to go and find it yourself.
And that's Our Town Lochhaven, a look at this Clinton County community through the eyes of its residents. Support for Our Town Lochhaven comes from Health South Nittany Valley Rehabilitation Hospital, providing rehabilitation services for illness or injury. Health South for a higher level of care. NittanyValleyRehab.com. The Clinton County Economic Partnership and Visitors Bureau, facilitating economic growth through programs and networking opportunities for its members. Information at ClintonCountyInfo.com. And viewers like you, thank you.
We have learned so much and enjoyed so much of this great program tonight. Our Town Lochhaven from your public television station, WPSU. On the screen there, you can see a whole lot of thank yous. I mean, we could be here for an hour with thank yous, really. All these institutions. We will have some companies we'll show here. We will have a whole long list of these folks, volunteers and individuals who in various ways maybe helped us out here tonight. Also shot video of various kinds, got still images that we've enjoyed watching tonight, all the great views, all the great stories and information that we very carefully compiled into this terrific program tonight. Our Town Lochhaven. We hope you've enjoyed it. I know that we have. We're not done quite yet here at the studio. We'd still like your help with a very generous contribution of support at 1-800-245-9779. Our phone volunteers are still here. We're going to keep on going. I'm Sky Giese, community volunteer and WPSU member. Again, I think I mentioned earlier in the evening, I can claim that with the first Our Town Lochhaven show, which was 20 years ago, I'm guessing my name was up on here because I shot some video for that 20 years ago. So I have a bit of an affinity toward this one, and we've learned so much tonight. For instance, I never realized this. We had an earlier segment where we had a still shot of the J Street Bridge from, I don't know, 100 years ago, whenever that was, old shot. I've driven over the J Street Bridge, I don't know, several hundred times, and I've never seen it as a covered bridge, but it was in this picture. It was a covered bridge. I never knew that before. And so thank you to all of these terrific producers and individuals and companies and organizations for helping to contribute to this fine program tonight. And now we want to thank you for your contribution of support at 1-800-245-9779. We still have some time this evening. If you've enjoyed the program tonight, you've been watching all along, you've got that phone sitting next to you, you're staring at it, don't stare anymore. Pick it up, grab it, dial the number, 1-800-245-9779. Whatever level of contribution you would like to give helps to support not just this program tonight, but the entire Our Town series, which will continue again with another program next month. And then, of course, all the great programming you see here on your public television station, WPSU. We still have a lot of thank yous, which we appreciate greatly. Here's one from Skip and Prudence Grenable of State College. Folks, thanks very much for your kind contribution of support. We have Carol Rocco from Lochhaven. Carol, thank you so much for going online tonight at WPSU.org and making your contribution. And from the Walsh family from York, Pennsylvania. I'm going to assume maybe they have some ties to Lochhaven, and obviously they've been watching the streaming tonight at WPSU.org. And so now, folks, before we wrap up this evening, it's your turn to make your contribution of support. 1-800-245-9779. And I'm not sure who I'm going next to. I'm going to her. There she goes.
My name is Michelle Chernega. I want to thank Lori and Chuck Stover from Lochhaven. Thanks, Stovers. It was great to hear from you. And Steve Getz from Avis, Pennsylvania. This is wonderful, these great support. They're volunteers?
No, they're volunteers.
Oh, that's wonderful. Rick and Patty Dearmont and Allenwood, born and raised in Lochhaven. Thanks for showing your support for the town and the station. Dominic and Alex Amelia from Mill Hall just called in their support. Thank you so much. Michelle Chernega here. I love your town. When you see me, I'm coming to visit, because after all these stories, I'm going to be there. When you see me, say hello. $75 contribution. You'll regret it if you don't get your copy of the DVD. $120, you get 2 of the DVDs, and the WPSU member card, which is that 2-for-1 dining card. So that toll-free number is good the whole rest of the night and online. Think of the stories in this show. Beer, libraries, water, hiking, airplanes. This is a wonderful town. Thank you. Yeah, jazz. I'm going to that jazz fest. You know, I noticed in the show they didn't tell us when that took place, and they didn't tell us when the Piper thing took place. But I asked all the people from the town, so I have it all written down. won't you show your support now before we go back to our next show? While we're still doing Our Town Lochhaven, call in your support right now. Bill.
I have a couple more people I'd like to thank. Sam Hoy from Mill Hall called in a pledge of support. And I have been embedded with the folks from Lochhaven for a couple of months now. You get to know everybody. You get to learn things about the town you never knew before. In addition to several years here, I also worked commercial news and covered Clinton County as part of my beat. And I'll tell you, I learned something tonight. We got a call from Roberta Baldwin of Jersey Shore. There was a conversation here earlier in the evening about Castanea, or whether it was Castanea, or some people pronounce it Castina. It's actually Castanea because that is the Latin pronunciation of the chestnut tree, the American chestnut tree. So you learn something new every day, every night, and some places, in the strangest places you ever expected to learn something. So thank you, Roberta, for that call. We greatly appreciate your pledge of support and for answering a question that has apparently plagued people on the back here on the phones. I don't hear anybody talking right now, which means we have reached a quiet spot. And I'd like to hear at least one more phone or two more phones ring before we take you back to the regular programming this evening. But I do want to thank everybody who has called in, because we've had a great time here this evening. All of us who have been up here pledging the show have had a great time, and I think the volunteers had a great time as well. And we hope you had a good time watching the program, and we'd like you to call in at 1-800-245-9779. Be the last one who calls this evening if you couldn't be the first one to call. And give us a pledge of $75, and we'll be happy to send you a copy of Our Town Lochhaven 2. Or if you can make a pledge of $120, we'll be happy to send you 2 copies. But you got to make the call, 1-800-245-9779 or WPSU.org to take the impersonal approach and do something online. But these guys would love to hear from you. And I'd love to hear a couple of more phones ring before the evening is over. Until then, I think Scott has a handful of papers of some people he'd like to thank.
Here they are. Also, I want to give a thank you to Bill. Bill's like the master videographer for this program, so he gets a thank you also. 1-800-245-9779. Let's see how many more calls we can squeeze in before we wrap things up for the night. If you've watched the program tonight, you've enjoyed it, you've valued it, you're thinking, that was a great show. Your contribution of support helps keep those shows, the whole series, going. Here's a thank you to Tony Barile of State College. Tony, thank you very much for your kind contribution. Wanda Meredith of State College. Wanda, thank you also for calling in tonight. And earlier we were playing the geography game and the distance game. Now I'd have to get my mapping program out, I suppose. But thank you to Kay Hobart of Rowley, North Carolina. Obviously watching the stream tonight at WPSU.org. You can make your contribution via the computer if that would be more handy for you. Once again, let's mention we have a couple of very special thank you gifts with your pledge of support tonight. At the $75 level, we'll be happy to send you a copy of Our Town Lochhaven 2, this new edition we've aired tonight. And for $120, we'll send you 2 of them. Keep one, give one to some special person who has very fond memories of Lochhaven. Not too late. Let's see if we can squeeze a few more in at 1-800-245-9779. And now we'll go to Michelle.
I like the distance game. You know, we play all kinds of games. Sometimes we battle churches against each other. We battle the Kiwanis against the Rotary Club, and we see who can get the most calls. It's a fun thing. But I'll tell you one thing, as a staff member here, when I hear people talk about when these shows are being produced, they say, we had 25 stories. They are so excited and so impressed. And there were a lot, as you noticed, in this program. And what that reflects is a love of a town, and an interesting town, and a well-loved town. And it's a very exciting thing to see. And I hope you appreciated it. I hope you called tonight. If you haven't, it isn't too late. You can join Dr. Shalorif, the podiatrist in town. Well, that's not fair. You have a podiatrist. That's wonderful. We want to hear from you next, that toll-free number. We have a lot of phones that are still busy right now. That's a wonderful thing, but there are still phones open to take a call from you at 1-800-245-9779. One of the things that we do a lot too is we run to Bill Wallace and we say, Bill, where do those drone shots come from? They're awesome. Well, he told me tonight that a lot of them came from you. I guess the chamber provided them. And some of the sunset shots, some of the most beautiful photographs. This was an amazing show. Call and support it right now. And I'm going to toss it to the person that knows all about it, and that's Bill Wallace.
Thank you, folks. I have nobody to thank right now. Okay, fine. I am told that actually there's only 2 phones open right now. So I'm really glad to hear that people are helping us continue this kind of programming. And it's heartening to me because I work on this show almost all year. And it's really, really nice to hear the comments that we get from the people who call in with their pledges of support. Because, as I said earlier, this is kind of a backwards business model where we do the programs and we ask you to help us pay for them. So we greatly appreciate the fact that you folks tonight have been helping us pay it forward to the next show that we're going to do. I want to thank Dan Carter from, my goodness, Traverse City, Michigan. We are now officially working our way south and west. That is fabulous. We greatly appreciate hearing from you. And J.R. Olsha of Lochhaven, who's putting he says he's putting the DVD in his son's time capsule. Now that is a really, really cool idea. And listen, if you want to bury one of these in your backyard, we will be happy to send you one. and if you want to play it now, we'll be happy to send you one as well. 1-800-245-9779 is the number. WPSU.org is the website. The phone volunteers are going to be here until the phones stop ringing tonight. You'll be able to call in later this evening with pledges of support, even after we go back into the regular programming. 1-800-245-9779. Remember that number, even when we go back to the programming. That way you'll be able to call. And we would love to hear from you later tonight, tomorrow, whenever it is. Whenever the inspiration strikes you to make a pledge, do not feel that this is obligation so much as it is inspiration, because the folks who worked on this program took their inspiration for a town that they love and turned out a really, really good product with our help, granted, but they really did. Scott has somebody to thank before we come off the air.
Actually, I've got 2, so here we go. Joby Topper of Bellefonte, thank you very much. Nancy Bartlett of Lochhaven. Thanks, folks, for all of your kind contributions of support.
Say good night, Scott.
You can also make your contribution at WPSU.org. Click on Donate at the top of the page. It's always available and easy to use. Thanks.
On Masterpiece.
The female animal should not be indulged.
I could be a better person. I've known that for a while now.
I think that too.
Please wake up. Why do you never listen to anything I say, Lord?
Because I want what's best for you.
I would like to keep all of my girls for as long as I can, but I also want real love for all of you.
Little Women on Masterpiece.
Sunday night at 8 here on WPSU. This is WPSU Clearfield, an outreach service of Penn State.
Royal Wedding Watch was made possible in part by
Consumer Cellular believes that wireless plans should reflect the amount of talk, text, and data that you use. We offer a variety of no-contract wireless plans for people who use their phones a little, a lot, or anything in between. To learn more, go to consumercellular.tv.
And by contributions to your local PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to London. There are just 2 days to go until the wedding of Prince Harry to Meghan Markle.
This time, we're going to reveal what happens after the royals say I do.
We've got everything you need to know right here on Royal Wedding Watch. Welcome to Royal Wedding Watch. I'm Meredith Vieira, and this is my co-host, Matt Baker. I feel like I should be doing this, to get ready for the
Well, this is
big
it,
day.
because you know what? It's getting closer, isn't it?
Sure
It
is.
really
2 days.
I know. We've got lots to talk about, as always. But we're going to start with some sad news that we heard from Kensington Palace this morning.
It is. We anticipated it, but it has been confirmed that Meghan Markle's dad will not be coming to the wedding. He will not be walking her down the aisle, which is very unfortunate. But you have an expression here: keep calm and carry on. And that's
what
what's
we
happening.
do. And I tell you what, it's a bit of a military expression, that one as well. And the military have been out in force today because they've been rehearsing. And this is the scenes that we saw about 11 o'clock this morning down in Windsor. The escort of the household cavalry. There is the Ascot Landau carriage that we expect Meghan and Harry to be travelling in. The 4 horses there, 2 of which are father and son. Storm and Tyrone, and followed by the household cavalry. But what a sight!
And that top will come down, weather permitting.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's the long walk all the way up to Windsor Castle, and the whole procession really is about 2.5 miles.
And
so
there have been people camping out, including our buddy Terry, which you're going to see him later, I think. So they must be so excited to see that it is really happening. Each day there's a little bit more.
A real boost from those who have been sleeping outside, like Terry, for the last 3 days.
At least the weather, again, has been cooperating. And I know that you've been asking your questions all week long using the hashtag Royal Wedding PBS. And we have one here from Mary Salona from Boston, home of the Tea Party. And she asked, do the royals have a wedding rehearsal? Do they, as a couple, have a wedding rehearsal as we do here in America? So I'm going to ask Anita, because we heard that they were there today, Harry and Meghan. Did you see anybody or hear anything?
You heard correct. I mean, you're talking about that wonderful procession today. Windsor was on lockdown. All the roads were shut. And while everybody was looking this way, getting super excited about the procession and the rehearsal, Meghan and Harry, Kate and William, the royal family, all drove into Windsor Castle for a rehearsal. But they left Kensington Palace this morning, and they were in there. In fact, I actually tried to get in there to go and have a look around the chapel, but there was just no chance. Now, very exciting news. The Royal Standard flag is flying. Isn't it beautiful up there? That tower is lit up, which means Her Majesty the Queen is in residence. We'll give Ma'am a wave. Not only is Her Majesty the Queen in residence, but Terry and his gang, who are growing by the minute, they're also in residence. Give us a wave. We're set to have a wonderful night. It gets more and more exciting by the minute here in Windsor.
Well, time is running out, and that's the thing. Everybody's got to practice. They've got to put in the hours that they need to do in order to get everything just right beforehand, and that includes the Archbishop of Canterbury. His name is Justin Welby, and I was talking to him not so long ago, and do you know what? He's incredibly nervous. Obviously, all eyes from around the world will be on him.
Well, he said that he was afraid of dropping the rings.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And
That's not good.
But he's got a little technique to try and help him keep calm, and that's to listen to music. Now, do you know of the artist Stormzy?
I don't really. Okay. I know he's British.
Yeah,
that's it.
And he's what's called a grime artist.
And what is that?
It's a bit like, it's not urban British, really, if that makes any sense to you. It's like rap music.
Okay, a little bit.
But the track that he's going to be listening to is called Blinded by Your Grace. So have a little listen if you can. Search it out, and you'll get in the zone, because it's quite a beautiful song.
But it's not gospel music.
It's not gospel.
Okay.
But
the Archbishop will be listening probably with earphones.
Oh, yeah. Young,
so check it
funky
out.
couple. That's how you get in the groove for a royal wedding.
Good for him. Check it out. Tonight we're going to be talking about everything from the food to finding out what might be in William's all-important best man speech. And Harry should be nervous because William has said he wants to get him back for the speech that Harry delivered at William's wedding.
The dig in the ribs.
Yeah, exactly.
Said, I will embarrass you and you will lose hair. That's what Harry said to him. Anyway, also tonight we're going to be tasting some British delicacies from past royal weddings and hopefully finding out what might be on the menu on Saturday.
I can't wait for that. Harry and Meghan announced who their bridesmaids were going to be yesterday. But what is it actually like to be a bridesmaid at a royal wedding?
Well, if you are wondering, we asked one of the very few people who knows.
In 1981, when India Hicks was 13, she received a once-in-a-lifetime invite from her godfather, Prince Charles, to be at the heart of a wedding that would be watched by hundreds of millions.
When you look at photographs like this and you see this very iconic scene of
the royal family coming out onto that balcony. It's everything you imagine. It's pageantry and pomp and circumstance. But of course, behind the scenes, it's actually just a family wedding. On the day of the wedding, there was the normal wedding chaos that every family goes through. And I remember very clearly Diana still in her jeans and a T-shirt. And on her head, she had that extraordinary diamond tiara. And her hair was all done and her makeup was being done. But she still had the jeans and the T-shirt on. She hadn't yet stepped into the dress. You know, I mean, I think this photo here, you can really see the fashion moment here. All the bows, the lace, the frills. My hair was fairly shocking too. Something crazy like 750 million people tuned into this. And I chose to have my hair cut like that for that day. How horrible is that haircut?
The closely guarded design of Diana's dress included over 250 yards of fabric.
When the carriage drew up outside St. Paul's Cathedral, nobody anticipated dealing with that amazing, ridiculous train, 25 feet long. We're battling with the wind and dealing with the fact that it had got so crumpled in the carriage. It was a disaster. Following Diana down the aisle, I think the only concern is that those little bridesmaids do not tread on the train. And of course you're hoping that the page boys don't draw their swords. What was sensational were moments inside the cathedral. All of the royal families gathered together, all of the heads of state, the pageantry. That was really amazing to be in there and feeling that. But really, I remember my shoes hurting, pinching. They look divine. Buttercup yellow satin shoes. I don't know why mine didn't fit, but they didn't. Thank goodness we had red velvet stools to sit on. But at the time, I was very much, I had a job to do. I had a job to do. I was a bridesmaid, and I had a job to do.
After the ceremony, India traveled by horse-drawn carriage to join the royal couple at Buckingham Palace.
My mother was a royal bridesmaid before me. I do remember her saying to me, remember the people who have camped out all night in order to be close. She said, acknowledge them. So awkward waving as a 13-year-old. How do you wave in a not silly way? There were some really fun moments when we were doing the royal wedding photograph. There was a moment where Diana she just flumped down and the dress went up and she just couldn't care anymore. That was a great, great moment because all the kind of the sort of strictness of it all suddenly just evaporated. Coming out onto that balcony, there was just a sea as far as the eye could look out. There were people so happy. Even from the balcony, you could feel the emotion of the public and the nation. Whatever was going on between Charles and Diana, however they were feeling, the world was swept away on this amazing fairy tale. And I think that's what everybody remembers. I feel very blessed to have been part of such an extraordinary occasion, and such a joyous occasion, and such a wonderful, remarkable occasion.
I could not have done it. I would have been a nervous wreck.
Can you imagine that feeling?
I cannot imagine.
That energy of people just watching from all around the world, just one couple.
Well, fortunately, we have three people here tonight who know a thing or two about royal weddings. Journalist Eve Pollard, who has reported on royal events for over 20 years, also has experience of attending them as well. So nice to have you here, Eve.
We've got royal biographer Giles Brandreth with us, who's known the royal family for over 40 years. He's a good friend of mine. I'm pleased you're here, Giles.
Pleased to be here.
And royal correspondent for the Sun newspaper, Emily Andrews. Welcome to you as well.
Thank you.
I want to start out with a statement released by Kensington Palace today from Miss Meghan Markle. It says, sadly, my father will not be attending our wedding. I have always cared for my father and hope he can be given the space he needs to focus on his health. I'd like to thank everyone who has offered generous messages of support. Please know how much Harry and I look forward to sharing our special day with you on Saturday. Confirmation that he is not coming. Already there have been, you know, people chattering about this and the language in it. It's like she can't do right. No matter what she does, somebody's going to criticize. But I just wanted to know your feelings about this. To me, it's just sad all the way around.
Well, I feel it's very much of today's life that fractured families have problems and have difficulties. He now also has health problems. I think it's such a pity that nobody went and got him 2 months ago and brought him over and made him feel at home. And the Royals are very, very good at that. And many, many girls have said to me, women, long after their fathers have passed, the most magical half an hour I ever had with my dad was on our own, in the car, on the way to church. And it'll be sad that he won't be there for that, but...
Fortunately, her mom is here, and...
That's great. And also, this is life. This is families.
The Duke of Edinburgh said to me some years ago when I interviewed him, when I was talking, in fact, about, I think, Diana and Sarah Ferguson, all the problems there, and rather exasperated, he said, we are a family. You know, these things happen. This is what life is like. And it's a very unusual family, of course, as well, because, as you say, there will be all these people watching. You would be very nervous. Yeah. I remember at the same time the Duke of Edinburgh said that when the Queen became Queen back in 1952, they went on a tour, she and Prince Phillip, her husband, and millions of people turned out in the street. And he said, if you'd taken that for being for you, it would be corrosive. You've just got to be yourself and remember that you are you.
Emily, let's move on to the ceremony, because Meghan's opted not to have a maid of honour. Do you think she'll be regretting that now, and a bit more camaraderie up there?
No, I don't think she will, actually. I understand, actually, that she wanted a man as her maid of honour. She wanted her best friend, Marcus Anderson, as her maid of honour. Oh, that was, yeah, exactly. It caused a little bit of consternation within the palace corridors.
No sign of him around.
No.
He's going to come into...
Oh, yeah, no, so he's her best friend, and he's been very much kind of behind the scenes, going to Kensington Palace, kind of chatting to Meghan, very much there for one of his best friends. He's the membership director at Soho House.
So you're saying maybe he would step in here?
Well, I don't think he'll step in to walk her down the aisle, but I think she couldn't really decide. She was kind of told she couldn't really have a best man. We don't do that kind of thing, a male maid of honour in this country.
What has changed is that once upon a time, the person who walked you down the aisle was giving you away. Now the nature of marriage has changed. A woman isn't given away by her parents anymore. So if her mother doesn't feel inclined to walk her down the aisle, it would be quite appropriate for Prince Charles, as her future father-in-law, the future king of the United Kingdom, for him to walk her down the aisle, not giving her away, but just escorting her. So that might happen.
I think it'd be much better if her mum did it, though, because what an amazing symbolic event. You know, she's the first biracial woman to marry into the royal family, which have historically been very pale, male and stale, our queen notwithstanding. So you'd have this, you know, biracial woman and her, you know, black American mum walking her down the aisle. So you kind of busting all those traditions wide open. You've got a woman, you know, walking down, the bride, and obviously, you know, two women of colour, which would be amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, no matter what we're feeling today in terms of sadness about her dad, Saturday is going to be a very joyous occasion. And Anita is actually in Windsor, and she knows what's happening there. I'm sure that it's getting more and more exciting by the moment.
It really is. I have to say, it's almost like a festival-like atmosphere here. It's quite surreal being in this place because there are so many camera crews here. It's like being on a film set, especially when you've got the backdrop of the beautiful Windsor Castle, which is 932 years old. It's like we're in another world completely. Now, I've heard that they spent a lot of money on re-tarmacking the road, so of course I decided to take a ride in a carriage to make sure that they've got no potholes.
Harry and Meghan's maiden trip as husband and wife will be a tour through Windsor to greet the waiting crowds.
And what better way for the people to see the newlyweds for the very first time than on a carriage? Along with his horses, Silver and Victor, Peter Langthorne has been giving tours around Windsor for 5 years.
Oh, walk on, boys.
So who better to give me the inside track on the royal procession?
So this is the official route, is it, Peter, that they'll be taking?
Yes, and of course this is going to be lined by thousands and thousands of people on the day. I mean, you're not going to be able to get anywhere near the footpaths for people that will have been camping, I would assume, overnight.
And what will their carriage be like?
Their carriage is called a landau, more of a traditional carriage that the Queen will use to go to Ascot.
Harry and Meghan's carriage is one of 5 Ascot landaus owned by the Queen.
Will they have a coach driver?
No, normally they have a rider on each of the near-side horses because it's etiquette that they have the coach to themselves.
The route covers 2 miles.
Look at these beautiful houses. These guys have got prime spot, and I've heard that people are offering them thousands, even to be able to sit in their balcony to watch the royal procession. What about the horses? What happens if they get spooked?
Well, the horses are obviously very, very well trained. They'll have practiced the route. They'll have done a lot of work with the traffic, with the public, so hopefully they will be good.
Thanks to recent resurfacing,
walk on, boys.
They'll be travelling on roads that are as smooth as silk.
And now we've got our trot on.
The route winds through the town, heading back to the castle along the famous Long Walk.
Look at that. What a view.
An iconic tree-lined avenue created by King Charles II.
You can see the top of Windsor Castle just peeking out over the trees there. Isn't it spectacular?
Unless you're one of the lucky few attending the ceremony, this procession is the only way to see the happy couple up close on their special day.
The bunting's going up, the houses are getting ready, parties are being organised. So it's not just going to be Harry's day, it's going to be there for everybody.
I keep thinking about what will be going through the mind of Meghan on the day. Such an amazing, overwhelming experience that she's going to go through, but what a moment for us, what a moment for her, and what a moment for history. And we cannot wait. We've had a text in from Sandra Sutton from Santa Rosa in California, and she asks, if it rains, what's the alternative plan? Well, Sandra, the alternative is the Scottish State Coach, which has a cover. If it rains, there's always a contingency here in the UK, and that was built in 1830, and the last time it was used was when the Queen and Prince Phillip used it to get to Kate and William's wedding in 2011. And now joined by Court Major Dan Snoxall. Now, you served in the same regiment as Prince Harry. You trained together for a whole year. So when you trained together, Dan, was he still a prince or was he one of the boys?
No, definitely was still a prince. The moment he tipped up after his basic training at Sandhurst, he met the boys, so we worked in a troop of 12. He was the boss, came in at the top, but we stripped that back pretty quick and we got on with it.
How do you strip that back?
Yeah, so you just sit around in a room, introduce yourself, and that's it. You know, we've been doing this for many hundreds of years in the Household Cavalry, welcoming princes.
We get the impression, and it's definitely from things he said and the way we see and the way he feels about the military and, of course, setting up the Invictus Games, that he really felt that he was so comfortable when he was serving, wasn't he?
Yes, so as I said, you know, working in such a small team, there are no chances airs and graces. You know, he was the boss, and from that he worked in an environment where he wasn't in the public eye. He walked in the barracks and he was boss.
Yes, you worked hard, you played hard together, and then on Saturday you've got quite an important role. Tell me where you'll be.
So I'm on the staircase, so second from the top, so I get to see them come out the newlyweds.
Will you be able to give them a wave? Give them a smile?
No waving, no smiling, so stood there rigid to attention.
Not even a glance across?
No.
And is everything polished and ready? Because you spent a long time polishing up all your kit, don't you?
Yeah, it takes many hours for every single parade that we do, and then as soon as this parade finishes, we get ready for Queen's Birthday Parade, so there's no rest for the wicked, straight back onto it.
Wonderful. We'll have an amazing day. I hope it doesn't rain, for your sake, because you're standing on the outside, for all our sakes. Thank you so much, Dan. I have to admit, I know Dan's still standing here, very much enjoyed interviewing a man in uniform.
Calm down.
Yeah, there you go. So Dan's going to be on that staircase then, standing, as he said, to attention on Saturday, but a lot of his comrades actually up on the horses as well, and they take 6 hours to polish it. They call it the upstairs kit, which is what the soldier's wearing, and then the downstairs kit is everything on board the horse. So 3 hours each, top and bottom.
And I can assure you that I'm not a meteorologist, but I can assure you that the weather is supposed to be brilliant on Saturday, sunny and in the upper 60s, so we're going to keep our fingers crossed. Perfect. Which means the wedding pictures are going to be spectacular, the ones outside. And Giles, the royal family, cares very much about the photos, the power of the photograph.
The power of the image. This has been going on, as the man in uniform reminded us, for hundreds of years, indeed for more than 1,000 years. So the image is nothing new. Elizabeth I, Queen Elizabeth I, had the best portrait painters of the day paint her portrait wearing regal outfits. This is the way it goes. The look of the royalty is everything. And so we will have wonderful photographs taken by one of the great photographers of our time, just as in, for example, before a photographer like Cecil Beaton, again, a great fashion photographer, used to take the pictures. This is brand Britain, and the look of royalty is important. The image is everything. The visual recollection will be all.
And Eve is a former newspaper editor in Elle magazine. What image would you be asking for to your photographers?
The money shot.
The money shot, of course, is always now the kiss. Now, there isn't a balcony, of course, at Windsor Castle, so we're hoping that when they come out of the chapel and they're at the top of the steps and the family come out behind them and the bridesmaids, the page boys, that's the moment that you really want that magical picture.
And spontaneity, a little bit of that?
Oh, of course, and you want to see the joy that they have for one another and the fact that there will be a roar as they leave that chapel. I mean, there really will be. So that's what you want, and then you want the family behind. You want to see them all, particularly the Queen, the Duke of Edinburgh, smiling with joy, and then watch out for the bridesmaids. They're very young and they'll be very naughty, possibly.
So, Emily, what do we know about the photographer?
Well, Alex Lubomirsky is kind of the fashion photographer of the moment. He's shot everyone, I think, for Who Is Anyone. Beyoncé, Charlize Theron, Katy Perry, Gwyneth Paltrow. I could go on, every A-lister going. He's featured in Harper's, Vogue. He's half royal himself, actually, interestingly. He was brought up in Botswana. I think he's the son of a Polish prince. He said he only discovered it relatively recently, so perhaps it was that that, you know, got Harry and Meghan onto him. But, of course, he took those beautiful engagement pictures at Frogmore House, and he will be the formal portrait photographer on the day. He's not actually going to be in St George's Chapel to do the pictures when they're actually getting married, or at Frogmore House in the evening for the reception. His job is just those all-important, as Eve and Giles says, those all-important formal portraits. And everything has to be got ready. The Queen comes in, literally snap, snap, then she leaves.
Yeah. I wonder if the Duchess of Cambridge will take any photos as well, because
She's very good,
we've seen
actually,
quite a lot, and she may capture the bridesmaids.
She might
and the
well
page
be.
boys.
None of the
Just
guests
perfect.
will be allowed to take photographs. Everybody's cell phone will be removed as you arrive.
Confiscated.
Confiscated, literally, and put in a little stack, and you can collect it at the end of the party. So there'll be no snaps taken, because releasing these pictures is key, and they'll be released piecemeal. We'll get some pictures on Sunday, then maybe some more on Monday, and then they'll keep some back for those special occasions, and over the years we'll have them
Everything
dripped out.
needs organization, especially the wedding reception. Dr. Lucy Worsley has been looking at the history of a right royal feast.
If I say to you the word banquet, I imagine you think of a long, formal table. Waiters bringing course after course. Loads of different wine glasses. Maybe rank upon rank of cutlery. It's all pretty formal and intimidating if you don't know the rules. This is Hampton Court Palace, famous as home to Henry VIII and his court. A man who loved to entertain on a spectacular scale. The Great Hall here played host to some lavish feasts, but these weren't banquets as we'd think of them today.
Hello. Hi.
Food anthropologist Carrie O'Connor has studied the importance of the feast. Carrie, does feasting have a really long history?
Oh, yes, because the feast is the place where you show off your power, you know, you build loyalty, you show who's in and who's out. It's the iron hand in the velvet glove.
What sort of occasion would Henry VIII throw a feast for?
There were the Easter feasts, his marriages, he had enough of them, and then celebrations for the betrothal of a prince or princess to a foreign power.
What things might we be surprised to see on the table at a Tudor feast?
Well, heron, seagull, porpoise, and swan.